validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
All right, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Trying to squeeze TikTok on up in here. So, oh, all right, there we go. So they're going. All right, so I appreciate you guys for being patient with me. There you go. Special shout out to OG Kicks. OG Kicks came trolling on in here. Oh, right when I started paying attention to the comment section. All right, so welcome to This and That again. Tonight we're actually going to be doing questions and comments from the fans. I'm going to be getting that pulled up in just a second. As I get that pulled up, we have not had any.
7 found my.
Oh, hold on, chill out, chill out, chill out. We're gonna get to that in just a second. Chill out, hold up. All right, so ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we don't have any updates for you at the moment besides the coins that we were supposed to be talking about on Monday. I did find some information about Donald Trump making a claim about not having to pay taxes, and I was like, oh, cool, we can cover that topic coming soon as to how he pulled that off. So you guys are going to be able to see that in upcoming shows. We are live 7 nights a week. We were supposed to start about 20 minutes ago, but I gotta tell you guys on a regular basis, we do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time, and that's why we ask you guys to like and subscribe, and then hit those notification buttons so that you're notified when we go live. And then take a look at the membership on YouTube so that you can see what we got going on in the membership, because we release information on a daily basis, daily, weekly, monthly basis on all kinds of stuff that'll benefit you and aid you in your abilities to make, save, and invest money, which is kind of what we talk about throughout the show, so that you guys can learn different ways to improve. Because there's something in most people's lives, because like we got what 76% of America that is not where they want to be financially in life, living paycheck to paycheck, and as a result, you find yourselves in a position where there is something that you would like to be better. And we cover a lot of things in hopes that some of it will effectively aid you in your ability to change the way you make, save, and invest money. So that's why we start off the week with, like, Monday, we talk about how the economy is changing so that you can pay attention to how the new rules and regulations are interfering with your ability to make, save, and invest money. And then we start talking about different ways to make, save, and invest money. And I know that sounds really redundant, but you got to realize, look, first we have to figure out how the rules are changing. Then we have to figure out how to change with the rules. Because when it is situations that are beyond your control, you have to put in the effort to navigate around what decisions that are being made around you, because you can't control the decision, you can't control the outcome of their decision, but you can't control how that outcome impacts you. And that's what we discuss on the show on a regular basis. Now, on Wednesdays, we talk about different countries around the world that you can invest in and potentially live in. That's probably cheaper than the country that you're in, especially if you're in the United States or potentially Hong Kong or one of those other expensive countries in the world. Then we give you guys on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday information that you can benefit from for personal improvement, personal development, uh, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brand. You know, we have raises, promotions, retirement, forced retirement, early retirement, termination, severance packages. We discuss all this stuff on the show. How you can go from being a W-2 worker to working for yourself, different ways to either build your business online or build your own brick and mortar business and automate that so that you don't got to be there every day. All of the stuff that you need to be successful, that's what we cover for you on the show. And then on Sundays, which is today, we talk about questions and comments from the fans, which is questions that you guys have about your situations that you can potentially get some insight on that can aid you in your ability to benefit from making some changes on your decision making skills. Because first, you change the way you make money. And when you change the way to make money, you bring more money in. Then you have to change the way you look at money, how you use money, how you value money, and how you try to keep that money. And that's going to be your decision making skills. So your personal decisions in life, because no matter how much money you make, you could be $1 million person spending $1,002,000 and be $2 in the hole. So it's not about how much is coming in; it's about how much you're allowing to go out and how fast you're allowing it to go out. Because even if you were making $10,000 a month, which is like $120,000 a year, if you had $11,000 worth of expenses, you would be in the hole $1,000 a month every month, and you would have to cover the spread by borrowing against a stone, asking friends and family. So it's not about just how much you make; it's also about what do you do with it, and how much of it do you hold on, and then how much of it do you reallocate into ways to make more money, make money for you. So we're going to be covering a lot of that stuff over the entirety of the show. But today, with questions and comments from the fans, we're going to be covering some comments, questions, statements that I have come across, and we're going to answer them. We're going to respond to them. We're going to give you guys some insights, and then you guys can for sure go somewhere and do some research and double check what we got to say, and then verify it. And then if you got comments, you got questions that are appropriate questions, appropriate comments, then feel free to put those comments into the comment section, and I respond to the appropriate comments. And I respond to the appropriate questions that are appropriately structured. So today would be the open-ended show, because usually throughout the week we ask you guys to stay on topic. Today we don't necessarily have a topic outside of the person who just asked the last question or just made the last comment. So if the questions and comments start getting out of control, those people get blocked and banned. But if they're kind of reasonably just inappropriate, they get ignored. So we are live and we are a highly interactive podcast, but we're only interactive with the people that are appropriate and respectful. So let's recognize that. What the heck? Yeah. All right. That's going to be a short video for another day. She is. You should have did that before the show. Lord. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with some of these comments.
I am 47, found my wife is 45, texting another guy today. We've been together 9 years. Went to give her a hug from behind and saw her
Oh, hold on.
texting
Y'all can't
someone.
hear it on TikTok.
Decided to watch for a few
We gotta I was just sitting over here thinking, wait a minute, TikTok can't hear this. Hold on. I wonder if we could do both. Um,
seconds
come on,
out
we're
of
gonna keep
curiosity. Saw the
because
name and that it was someone from her work. Then asked her who Cal, not real name, is. She jumped and said it was her female coworker that had bought her shampoo, which she quickly showed me. I knew something was off. The name was a guy's name for a start. I just said, is Cal a girl? To which she responded, yes. I then went to finish making dinner while she sent in the laundry room.
Okay, pause real quick. So far, this person has explained over on the YouTube side of things that he thinks his girlfriend's cheating on him. They're like a couple years apart. He sees her communicating with someone. He asks her if it's a guy or a girl, and she simply answers yes, not verifying whether or not it's a guy or a girl. But some dude bought her shampoo, and we're about to see like what the problem is here. So hold
Then
on.
I went to the laundry room as I couldn't help myself. As I open the door, I see a melting face, heart eyes emoji on her screen, which she quickly locked. I asked her to let me see her phone. She said no. We never have secrets, and our phones are
So
always
wait,
open to each
so
other
she's in the
until
laundry room. Okay, so she's in the laundry room. She's on her phone. She's texting with somebody. Dude walks in. He sees like smiley faces, heart emojis, and stuff like that on the screen, and she's quickly hiding the phone. I can tell you right now, before this guy finishes explaining what's going on, is you don't need to know what the discussion was about. Uh, there is deceitful behavior there. Because if you're doing something honorable, if you're doing something noble, then you don't have a reason to hide it. So if your partner walks in on you doing anything other than creating a surprise event for your partner that you don't want them to know about so that you can surprise them about it later, then ultimately you're in a position of recognizing that you should be able to tell your partner anything, just about anything. But even if you're the kind of relationship where you tell your partner, "Oh yeah, I'm planning your surprise birthday party," so you don't need to know what I'm doing as far as the details. You just know that whatever I am doing is about you. So as a result, you'll see the outcome when I present it to you. That's still fair game because if I'm on the phone and you come, "Hey, hon, what you doing?" I'm planning your surprise party. Done. Oh, well, let me get out of here so that you don't, so that I don't spoil the surprise kind of thing. That is mutual respect between one another. You're not keeping general secrets from each other. But if you're on the phone and you're having a conversation with somebody and that conversation turns into you hiding the phone or slamming the laptop shut or anything to that effect, in that particular dynamic, you're creating a betrayal in a relationship specifically because a monogamous relationship, any relationship, requires trust and it requires loyalty and it requires dedication. And in that situation, what you actually need is the ability to be able to tell your partner the truth. So when you have to keep secrets, when you have to hide conversations, that is when you are having the type of conversations that are deemed inappropriate. Because if your partner cannot know about it, then it is not supposed to happen. Plain and simple. If you're in a relationship, you're in a committed relationship, you're not supposed to be going places that you're not capable of telling your partner. This means that if the boys want to go to a strip club or if they want to go to a location that's got just women in it or whatever the case may be, then you don't want them to um, mess with your ability to get you in trouble in your relationship. Because if you can't tell your wife, it's like, well, look, I'm not going there. I'm not. If you can't tell your girlfriend or your wife, hey, I'm going with the guys. They're going to a sorority party where it's going to be me, three guys, and like 30 women. If you can't tell your girlfriend that with confidence, because I know some people can do it and not give us a squat, but if you cannot, if you can go and also can recognize that if you went, that you would not have a problem in your relationship where your girlfriend's not fussing and arguing with you and not yelling and everything like that. If that conversation can happen in a positive fashion, then you're good to go. But if you can't tell her the truth on what's going on, you got to keep it a secret, or vice versa. If she can't tell you the truth of what's going on, if she's got to keep it a secret, in those situations, you're just like, you know what? This isn't going to work. I can't do this, right? I can't allow myself to be a part of this, right? But let's go ahead and finish with this guy's got to
Now,
say. We're going to be talking about.
eventually she admitted she won't show me because I won't like it, but it's just flirting and nothing else. Finally, she
Flirting.
opened it, and I
What?
see a handful of texts. Everything until today deleted, but enough to see he wants her. I get mad. She says it's only a week and nothing has happened. Finally, she says he gave her a lift home, told me she Ubered, and he tried to kiss her, but she stopped him.
Lied.
I call bullshit and kick her out.
Hold on. So, real quick for the guys that are following on TikTok. So, what has happened is that dude, she finally opens the phone. After she opens the phone, he gets to see a plethora of deleted text messages that looks like goes back over a week. She's claiming that it's only been a short period of time, but there's an extensive quantity of back and forth communication between the two of them that leads to the handful of text messages that weren't deleted yet, that he can determine that there's something there between the two of them, at least from the guy's side, right? And she has caught a ride with him home, and she lied to her boyfriend, husband, whatever, about uh, catching a cab. Okay, to me, the relationship's over. You can try to work on that relationship if you really want to. I know Steven would tell me leave her. Michael would tell me leave her. Special shout out to those two guys on YouTube side of things. They would say leave the girl because the true dynamic of the situation is going to be, again, the understanding that if you're willing to lie, if you're willing to lie about something that you believe is insignificant, if you're willing to lie about something that you believe is insignificant, then ultimately, look, see, now he's going to try to second guess himself. Michael's going to say, "Oh, she's a keeper." No, Michael, you've always been the guy that says, "No, leave her. If she's keeping secrets, leave her. If she's deceitful, leave her." So if you're in a situation where the she's willing to keep secrets and lie about something very insignificant, then she's definitely going to be able to lie about something major. So if it was just casual conversation that she might believe that you would take incorrectly and assume that it is inappropriate, and she's doing it, she's tolerating it, she recognizes your non-negotiable expectations for behavior and she's ignoring them. That is, I know you're going to say run, but that is a very, very devastating and detrimental position to have in your relationship. Because think about this: if she knows that you're not going to like this, but she's doing it anyway, it's a matter of time before you find out about it. But as long as you don't find out about it, she's going to keep doing it. This means that if this was to progress to an affair, that affair would be, she would make up an excuse. Oh, I was vulnerable, or they'll spin it and blame you for it and make it seem like you did something wrong. And probably you did, but that doesn't justify it. But they'll take the blame off of themselves and put the blame on the other person and say, oh yeah, it was whatever it is that you did that caused me to be doing this for 2 years. Nah. Look, I can tell you things can happen in certain situations if you allow it. If you don't allow it, there's certain things that you can't prevent. For example, if you're sitting unnecessarily close to somebody, they can come and give you a kiss, and you can't stop them from initiating the kiss, but you can immediately push them off of you. He said, "Can I play victim?" Well, I mean, you're 71 years old, Michael. You can play whatever you want to play, but the truth of the matter is that the the first person accountability and then responsibility kick in before anything. You yourself allow yourself to be in certain situations. You yourself should be aware of your surroundings. So you yourself should be able to tell if the person sitting next to you might have somewhat of a thing for you, even if it's a misguided assumption that they like you when they don't. You would sit far enough away from them that it isn't perceived that you are into them if you're not into them, right? If they're leaning in for a kiss and you're like way over here and they're way over here, when you see them leaning in, you don't have to let them connect. You can dodge that the way you dodge in your relationship when your boyfriend's trying to give you a kiss and he's right up against you. So if you can dodge your husband or your boyfriend's kisses, there's no reason why in general public that you're just standing there with some random stranger and you're not dodging that guy's kisses. If you're allowing that guy to kiss you, you're making out with this dude, and then you're going to come back and tell your boyfriend, "Oh, it was an accident. He kissed me." Yeah, you stayed still and let it happen. So, first person accountability, you have to recognize that you cannot blame somebody else for what you allowed to happen, right? And this goes for men too. You cannot blame somebody else for what you allow to happen. Now, we can say that the other person in the relationship contributed to the feelings that allowed for this situation to manifest itself, because you wouldn't be having interactions on social media if you had enough attention in your household. Or for the woman, if she was a stay-at-home woman, if she had enough work to do around the house, she'd be too busy to be on the phone. But the fact is, there is a special shout out to OG Kicks. He said, "Teach." But if she's in a position where she's doing her thing and there's a void in the relationship because the boyfriend or the husband isn't there, then in those situations, then you're going to see a completely different standard, and that's going to really confuse your ability to stay loyal, because you're not getting that emotional connection, you're not getting that emotional affection, and you're not getting that time. So that can be a contribution to say, well, I'm gonna go talk to somebody, I'm gonna go hang out with blah 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 blah, I'm gonna make friends X, Y, and Z. And in those situations, that's when you find yourself in those compromising positions. And once you get into that compromising position, that's when you're trying to figure out, well, how do I get myself out of this, right? But there's only so many bad decisions that you can make before the situation becomes out of your control. For example, you're texting. You could have stopped that. You start meeting up in person. You could have stopped that. You start going places exclusively. You could have stopped that. Now you're in a situation where it's just the two of you guys alone in the house, doors locked. You could have left. The person's got you cornered. You could have knocked them over and walked out of the door. That's like 6 different scenarios where you could have just stopped this before it went too far. Then you find yourself in a position where you start making out with the other person, or they start making out with you. You could have gotten out of there at that moment, and everything that happens after that is just you just went with it, right? So a series of events that you allow to happen as a personal bystander in your own decision making. And ultimately, after the affair is over, you go back and tell your partner, when your partner finds out, when you confess to your partner, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was them. They did it. I was vulnerable, victim, victim, victim." You let it happen. So dude's kicking her out. Let's see what else he's got to say about this.
I have 2 kids, a 5-year-old and my 14-year-old stepdaughter. That's hers. They stay. I look up the texts in my online account. They first started texting a month ago. I message and ask if she's telling me the truth about the timeline. She says she already told me, and I'll just believe what I want anyway. She sticks to a week. My mind is made up that the trust is gone. I text.
All right, so he's found a text message from over a month ago. She's saying that they only been talking for a week. Yep, that relationship is over.
Her guy in work, which is a supermarket, that he's a piece of shit. He reads but doesn't respond. I want to go there this week and make a scene. Call him out in front of his co-workers. He's married with a kid, and I'd love his wife to know. How should I proceed? Update. There's a lot to say since my last post. Much has happened, so this might be long. For 2 days after it happened, I was filled with rage. My natural instinct was, it's over. Kick her out, lawyer up, nuke everything. I didn't. What I did instead was research everything. I found a deleted text, found his real first name, packed my wife's stuff and messaged to pick it up. Then I talked to the kids, made sure they were okay, and I took a day to calm down and process everything. After a day, I decided to message my wife to talk in person. We arranged to meet a few days later. We met and talked, and I heard her out. Not just what happened and the gory details, but
Okay.
why it happened. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and the story you guys read didn't have much context. The truth is I checked out years ago. I stopped touching her, hugging her, even caring about her. She asked to bring her mother to visit for years.
All right, pause. So, as an update, guys, so far he's explained over here on the YouTube side of things. He's explained that he was going to go and fight the other guy, but then he changed his mind. He calmed down a little bit. He calls the other guy, tell him come get the girl's stuff. He had put the girl out. He kept his kids. He's got the woman somewhere else. He's not even paying for her to stay somewhere else. He's just like, nope, this isn't going to happen. Now, he has doubled back to communicating with his wife. His wife has started explaining to him what was going on, and now he's admitting where he went wrong here, because his original request was, what does he do about this? Does he, like, go and fight the other guy, or what does he do? Well, right now we're in a moment of listening to him, and as soon as we get the stream key, I think like tomorrow or Tuesday we'll have the stream key. So hopefully in the next 2 days, you guys will be in the middle of the entire conversation on TikTok, where y'all can hear what we hear and see what we see. But I'll keep you guys updated. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue with this.
Lives in a different country, and I would complain we didn't have the space. I wouldn't even say so much as hello to her mother when she called. I think I said 2 words to her in 5 years. She told me she was depressed and needed to see someone. I said sure, then never asked about it again and never helped her book it. I wouldn't even hold her hand in public unless she held mine first. She told me many times she wished I could be more.
So, dude is explaining right now he checked out of a relationship years ago. So his relationship has been emotionally dead. Now, I called it before he admitted it. And they've been living in the same house, almost like roommates. He has not shown respect to her mother, which is his in-law, because they're married, right? And they are supposed to be bringing her mother to his house so that they can all, like, spend some time together. If he's not giving her the emotional validation that she needs, her mother could kind of support her emotionally a little bit. We don't know what's causing him to check out of the relationship, but for whatever reason, he's not doing his part. So when this is not necessarily a retaliation, but it is, how do I identify that? This is the consequences of the man's behavior, because the wife didn't get the attention that she needed. She ended up getting that attention from some other guy. And at least for the last month, if not longer, out of 5 year marriage, where like the last year or two, she has had no real connection with her husband. She's in this situation where she's talking to a new dude. Well, that was the husband's fault, because the husband should have been giving her that attention this whole time. So had he been doing his part, there wouldn't have been an extra guy. But because there is an extra guy, now he's reassessing his relationship, start getting territorial. He took the relationship for granted at first, and now he's territorial about the relationship. I can only tell you that, in all honesty, it's a rough observation, but this isn't the time for separation, Michael. Technically, they already separated because he kicked her out, but truthfully, since he caused the problem, I still believe the relationship is kind of over. But if he caused the problem initially, his ability to rectify his failures in the relationship is, since the relationship allegedly has not, the secondary side relationship has not progressed to a physical, intimate relationship, that he put in the effort to reconcile with his wife and work on the relationship with her, because otherwise, again, you can't blame somebody else for what you did, right? So, oh, she cheated because you abandoned the marriage. So the initial problem was you abandoned the marriage. The secondary problem that you're pissed off about is that she cheated. That doesn't work that way. You have to, first person accountability is what caused the initial problem, the core problem. And then from there, Michael says, after mother-in-law, he's not getting along with his wife to have one problem, then bring the mother-in-law, double trouble. Well, That depends on what kind of person you married. Because if she's a family oriented person, she's got a mother in another country. She moves in with you. If she wants to spend 2, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months with her mom, there's one or two ways that you accomplish that. You either bring mom here or you send your wife over there. That's kind of how that works. So if you don't want mom in your house and you recognize that you've already checked out on your wife, you could get your wife a 3 month trip to another country, which gives you the ability to recoup your situation, keep the kids, send wife to another country, do your thing. Then when wife comes back, if you still love your wife, you'll miss her, you'll bring your wife back. That would make more sense. So instead of just saying, who cares about the mother-in-law, if mom lives in another country and the daughter wants to see mom, you make it happen. And the daughter should be able to see mom in person. You make it happen. Michael says send the wife to her. But that would have been a more appropriate position for him to have, because if he was sent the wife to the mother for 3 months instead of abandoning his relationship emotionally for a year or two, then he ultimately could have preserved his marriage, because he could have gotten the distance from his wife. Absence makes the heart fonder, and then bring the wife back, and then everything would have worked out, because he could have then started working on a relationship after that. He says, one-way ticket. Well, a one-way ticket, if you're done with the marriage, then yeah, you could one-way ticket your wife back to another country, especially if she's not from here. But you also got to recognize that there are some implications in divorce where you could be perceivably abandoning your wife, because if you get her a one-way ticket and send her out there and she doesn't have a job and she doesn't have a way to get back, you've just distressed your wife in another country. She could still potentially divorce you in America. She can still take more than half of your stuff, alimony, and a lot of punitive damages for you abandoning the marriage, shipping her off, and then abandoning her in another country. So there are some consequences for that particular type of decision. If she's willing to go and not come back regardless, then by all means, yeah, you can just send her off and part ways, and don't even have to get the divorce. Keep the kids, do your own thing. You don't need child support, but you're not paying alimony, and just make it work. Right? Everybody's satisfied. In a situation where everything is cooperative, then that makes sense. But in another scenario where usually a bitter person, just like this guy was bitter when he found out that his wife was having an emotional engagement with this other guy, he wanted to destroy the other guy's marriage by telling the other guy's wife that he was doing stuff that he wasn't supposed to be doing. Me, if the two of y'all are fucking up, the woman over here, that's not for her to be destroyed. You don't need to. Why are you going to cause more problems over here in this woman's marriage to make the man that's cheating with your wife suffer the way you're suffering? But why are you going to do that and then make his wife suffer if she's in the dark and she didn't know that this was happening? So when you think about the fact that people are bitter, if you abandon the wife, emotional distress, legitimate distress, because you dumped her off in another country, she could get a good lawyer under your dollar and then clean you out for that. And what people typically do in divorces and breakups is they go after you and try to take everything they can and destroy your reputation, destroy your identity, and fix it to where, if at all possible, you can absolutely not recover from that relationship. That's the goal when they try to literally destroy you. So ultimately, if you're sending her off in a one-way ticket, she's got to agree to that. And this isn't I'm gonna send you one way because it's cheaper, and then I'm gonna send you another one-way ticket to come back in a few months. It's like, no, I'm a round trip you, and if you decide to stay, you missed your second flight. It ain't on me, right? That's the scenario. If you choose not to come back, I paid for a round trip, and you chose not to come back, so you stay where you at. But one way would be misrepresented in the courtroom. He says conflicts with any decision in life, stay, don't stay. Um, well, every decision has a positive and negative outcome. They have that saying, that phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because while you had, in some situations, the best intentions, the outcome is what people pay attention to. If you thought getting there fast would benefit the person you're trying to get there fast, and then your getting there fast caused a massive car crash on the freeway and a bunch of people died. You getting there fast might have been beneficial for the person that you got there fast, but everybody that you killed in the process is the ends that does not justify the means. So when you make a decision, you have to take into account how that decision impacts your surroundings. You have to make decisions on allowing certain decisions to be made in your presence that will impact you, right? So in both situations, you're in a position where you can either stay in a relationship and fix it because you caused this problem, or you can abandon the relationship, but you do not passive aggressively ship your wife to another country. I was recommending that because she wanted to spend time with her mother and her mother stays in another country, if you didn't want to bring the mother to you, you bring the wife to the mother. But like I said, in doing that, my suggestion was give her a 3 month round trip ticket, let her take a vacation. You get some time apart. That would have been the short separation. Talk to her every day or every few days or whatever. And then when you miss your wife and then she comes back, you can start fixing your marriage kind of thing. Because if you see her every day, you check out, but you don't really pay attention because a lot of times a person's love language is like orbiting the vicinity of another person. You don't have to acknowledge them at all. Just because you know they are there, you're content. That's not the other person's love language. The other person might need physical connection. The other person might need interaction. The other person might need acts of service where you're doing stuff for them to make them feel valued or valuable, right? So if your love language is being in the same place at the same time, no matter how far away I go, no matter how much I'm mad at you, I'm always coming home to you because that's my love language is to orbit your vicinity. I can play video games while you're in the house cooking and cleaning, and I'm good because that perimeter is my love language. But for some people, no, we got to be on the same couch talking to one another. We got to be, interacting, reading the same book, interacting in the same activity kind of thing. So you can't just say, well, I'm a check out and then, my marriage is going to be fine. It's not going to be fine because there's more than one person in the marriage, right? So you can't just get rid of your wife because you screwed up your own marriage. You have to fix your marriage because you caused it. So if you're destroying your marriage by checking out, caused your wife to start talking to other dudes, you got to forgive her for her response to your negative behavior because you caused it. It didn't lead to a physical affair. So there isn't that big of an issue here, and you can fix that. And you probably should. If you want to stay in a marriage, you probably should.
Affectionate,
Let's see.
like when we meet and before our son was born. I just said I'm not like that. The truth is, I just didn't care enough to do it. There were so many instances of this. It hurts me
You
inside
didn't even care to
when I
be in a
think
marriage.
about it. I really neglected her at best, and at worst, I was just plain mean to her. Yet she still loved me and tried to make it work. For years,
So he
if
was
I
being
wanted sex, she
a
was
butt
always into it and never turned me
throughout marriage.
down. She would still try to hug me randomly, but I wouldn't hug back. I rejected her sometimes when she wanted it. When she started working, she gave me half her paycheck every month without question. I took
And
care of
giving her half the
finances,
paycheck.
and I am the
Wow.
breadwinner. I just took the money each month without even acknowledging she sent it. In the meantime, she was saving $150 a month to get enough to bring her mom over, something I could do with a simple bank transfer. When she started doing late
Wow.
shifts to get more money, it became an inconvenience for me to pick her up at midnight. I told her I couldn't leave the kids alone that late, but the truth was I was just lazy. But I wouldn't let any guys from work drive her home. It was either Uber, different guys she doesn't know every night, or female coworkers. It was inevitable that coworkers would offer,
Wow.
and one day she would make connection F someone. You see, my wife lights up the room. She's
See that?
incredible.
So you see what's going on? He's telling you that he has completely checked out of the relationship. He's not giving her any attention. She's sending him money. She's trying to bring her own mother over by saving some of her money from her job. She's picking up an extra job so that she can make more money to bring her mother over. So she's not trying to leave the marriage. She acknowledges the fact that he is emotionally dead in this marriage, but she's still bringing her mom over the way he promised he would do, and which to me that sounds like a good wife to me. I feel like the husband should be trying to make this up some kind of way because there's absolutely no reason why uh, he checked out of the relationship because he hasn't explained to me like what led him to do this. If he's going through some kind of depression or something, it doesn't have to be a psychological issue. It just could be like you don't really know what to do here, but you should be trying to figure it out. Whether you get therapy or coaching or counseling or something, talk to a pastor or a priest and get baptized, whatever you got to do. He said there's a difference here. No, there's no difference here. This is the same. It's the same scenario. The So from the beginning of his explanation until now, he started with he was mad at the outcome. And usually, what victim blaming does is people will complain to the world about the outcome. That's the ends. What led up to the outcome? That's the means. And what very few people do, very few people actually tell the truth about what led up to the end, the outcome. So if I'm being cheated on, and that's what I'm going to tell the world, I'm being cheated on, I'm a victim. Everybody's going to say that cheaters are garbage, cheaters are trash, they don't deserve to be in marriages and relationships and blah, 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 blah. I am one of very few people that says, hey, it takes two people to screw it up, two or more people screw it up. So it's not just the cheater's fault to get into the affair. It is the other person in a relationship being cheated on that contributes to the affair. Nobody wants to agree with that. They want to say, no, it's just the bad decision of the one person. No, it's not. Because the person who chose to cheat, if that person was dedicated to the person being cheated on, something happened that led to the cheater deciding, I'm going to cheat. Because the same thing, if you're working on a good job and you love that job, you're showing up for work on time, coming in early, staying late, not clocking in too early and not clocking out too late, but still putting in the extra hours. So you're ultimately working for free sometimes. You're giving it your all. You love that job. Something's got to happen for you to be stealing product off the job. Something's got to happen for you to be trying to steal time off of the job. Something's got to happen for you to stop being a good person in this interaction and start being a bad person in this interaction. Everybody's only want to point out the fact that, oh, well, so and so did something wrong. But what led to it? If you're the star employee and now you're walking out with towels and cleaning products and stuff, that's probably because you don't have enough money to wash dishes and wash clothes and stuff at the house. If you're walking out of the store because what are they stealing? Are they stealing food because you're working at a fast food restaurant? You don't have enough money to feed the people at your house. You're bringing extra food home from work to feed the people at the house. You're clocking in early without actually doing any work because you want to get paid while you're there and then get paid until you leave, even if you haven't done anything yet, because you're trying to bring more money into the house because you don't have enough money. Something happened that led to that behavior. If you're sleeping on a clock, that's because your ass is tired. What's got you tired? Working double shifts might be an issue. So instead of the boss just writing you up and firing you for falling asleep on a job, the boss should recognize, man, dude's been doing double shifts all week long. Let me not force this person or request this person to put in so many double shifts so that they're not falling asleep on a job. You have to point out where the problem started and then fix it from there, not just penalize the outcome. Michael says, does he get along with the mother-in-law? He said that he ain't talked to the woman. He ain't said two words to the woman in 5 years. I don't know what his beef is with the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law stay in another country. When the mother-in-law call on the phone, he don't even talk to the woman. So at the end of the day, he ignores that woman's very existence. He's got this wife. He's got 2 kids with the wife, and he ignores the wife. Michael says, but he was a good boy. No, he wasn't. That's the wild part about it. He's been in this marriage for 5 years and he checked out of the marriage a year or two ago, where he's present but not accounted for, which ultimately means that no, he's not a good boy. In other situations where the husband was doing right 2-3 years ago, and then the wife messed up. The husband doesn't want to be with her no more, but he doesn't want to divorce her. He's had a couple of kids, and he's got all these obligations that he's just with her because it's cheaper to keep her. In that situation, he checked out because she did something wrong. In this situation, he's admitting that he has had absolutely no positive contact with his wife in about 2 years. And as much as she has tried to rekindle to the best of her ability, he has not entertained it. That's not on her. That's on him. So for her to decide, well, fuck it, I'm gonna stay in this marriage, but I'm gonna go and talk to this dude on the side. At the same time, she's gonna talk to the dude on the side because that's the emotional validation that she's missing out of her marriage. In that scenario, while that's not a good decision, that's the husband's fault. He left the emotional validation out of the relationship for 2 whole years. So in that dynamic, it is his fault that she's talking to another dude. So when he finds out about it, he's got to say, well, I probably should talk to my wife more. That's how I put a stop to this. But listen to what else he said. Oh, he don't want to go get her from work, but she's working late. She's working late to make extra money to go get her mama and bring her here because he said he would. And he don't want to, but he could just do it in one swoop. He could charge the car at one time and mama would be here. But his wife is working extra hours, giving him half of her paycheck and working extra hours late nights so that she can make the extra money to bring her mom over because he don't want to. After he said he would, he didn't tell her no. He said yes and then refused to do it. And he would keep telling her yes, but continue to refuse to do it. That's not what you do to your partner. If you don't want to bring mother-in-law over, you got beef with mama, I don't want to bring her over. Just tell the truth. But if you don't care whether mom come or go, and you just too lazy to put up the money to go get her, then let her take your card and go get mama and fly mama over. What's the big deal? It's a plane ticket. Shit. Where's your wallet at, honey? 5 minutes on Priceline. That's it. So the fact that she's not over here, and the fact that the wife is going to get extra money in Western Union to mom so that mom can fly over, at the end of the day, he's putting his wife in a position where she's going to start talking to other people. Her coworkers are going to bring her home because he's not sending her an Uber. She don't got a ride. Her husband not coming to get her. He's making excuses. Oh, I can't leave the kids in the house at 1 a.m. Well, let me ask you a question. Well, why the fuck did she not drive to work? Matter of fact, you could have drove her to work and then or you could have drove to her job and then had her drop you off on her break where she had the car. So like if y'all schedules don't match, right? And she can get to work in the daytime, bus, cab, something like that. And she get there, right? She's got like a 1 hour lunch break, right? You go get her, and you can go get her with the kids on the lunch break, have her drop you off at the house with the kids. She take the car back to the job. You're at the house with the kids. When she get off at 1 o'clock in the morning, she can just drive herself home. Why do you got the car at the house with the kids and she needs a ride home? These are all things that lead to like he's putting her in a distressed situation where if a man swoops in and plays Captain Save him, and most men do, they don't care if you're married or not. If she is in a distressed situation, men are going to try to aid. And that's going to put her in a position where one of them men are going to console her for the devastating situation her husband is forcing her into. And then ultimately you're in a position where the affair will eventually happen. But that's something that the husband manifested from his lack of action. Michael said, I wonder if his wife is Filipino. She probably is, because Filipino, Vietnamese, somebody in Southeast Asia, like Japan, Taipei, Taiwan, something like that. Those women would put up with that kind of behavior. American women, not so much so. American woman would have not had conversation with her husband for like a month or two at best. And she would have had 2 boyfriends and 3 baby daddies by the time. Within the first year, they would have been divorced, bro. They would have been divorced. Let's finish this guy's thoughts.
Incredibly beautiful and makes everybody feel good about themselves. She's inquisitive, happy, and very positive. Many are just attracted to her because of her nature.
Okay.
Heck,
So she pretty?
it's the reason I feel in love with her too. She has men talking to her every day that would kill to date her. But she loved me and was trying to hang on. She told me
Wow.
many times, but
So
I
he-
was
so he
blind.
had-
Hearing and
he had
realizing
the
this hurt a
girl
lot.
who really wanted
She
to
was
get-
right. everything she said. I was still raging, but also coming to terms with the part one played in this whole mess. Sometimes you need to have self-reflection and look within to see why problems are happening. By the time we spoke, she'd already found a new place to live, a spare room with some empty nesters from her work.
All right, so out of all of what just happened, she keeps trying to explain to him where he going wrong, and he now wants to self-reflect on this, and now he's in a position where he understands where he screwed up. But now she's living with somebody else. He call them empty nesters. There's a bunch of single
We
people
both agreed we needed
in an
space,
apartment
and this was
together.
the best thing. I took her to pick up her things, and me and the kids took her to her new place. It was nice, and the couple there taking good care of her, bills and food included, and
Dropped
cheap
her off.
rent, cheaper than living with me. The kids are okay, and they've been supporting me and each other well. I even made a new chore roster with my stepdaughter, and the three of us are getting into a new routine. I'm more present and enjoying their company
with
than I
mom
have in
being gone.
years. I've actually talked to them and learned a lot about them this last week. No more phones or screens for everyone until chores are done, and that means working together with music on. Yesterday, we met up as a family with plans to take my wife
Wow.
to sew some shopping and then to her place and come home. We ended up going to a restaurant, then an indoor.
So notice how the guy is continuing to explain how now that he's checked back in and started paying attention, he realized that he's been distant with the kids too. And now he's starting to bond better with the kids. And now he's starting to bond better with the wife. All it took was self-reflection, but the self-reflection happened after he caught her having an emotional affair with somebody else on social media.
fun park and having the best time we've had in years. We fed each other at the restaurant like a new couple. We hugged and kissed like we were dating for the first time. The kids and we were happy. No phones, just enjoying being with each other. I found that I wanted to be affectionate, something I wasn't just a week ago. I couldn't get enough of her. We took her home, and then I took the kids back. We ended up putting the kids to bed together.
You notice how she only had to move out for 7 days, and all of a sudden he got his shit together. So remember when I gave you the advice about 30 minutes ago, where he could have just bought her a plane ticket and flew her to her mama house for 30 days or 90 days or whatever, and then flew her back? That would have been the exact same result. The only difference is she would have got to see her mama now. Because sometimes we fall out of love and then back in again. Well, yes, there are going to be some situations where you're going to get used to being around this person. You become content with this person. You guys stop performing deliberate acts of love towards one another. And then you guys become routine. You wake up every day. You start doing stuff for the kids every day. You take care of the pets. You cover the responsibilities. You guys are on autopilot of maintaining the household, not the relationship. Maintaining the household is not maintaining the relationship. Making sure that all the bills are paid, making sure that all the repairs are done, making sure that all the cars are working, making sure that all the kids' extracurricular stuff is happening. That is maintaining the household, not the relationship. The relationship between the husband and the wife still requires maintenance, taking each other out on dates, having quality time with each other, doing random projects just the two of you. Maintaining the family relationship is doing family projects, the wife, the husband, and the kids. But it's always going to be a dynamic where you have two sets of responsibilities. And most relationships abandon the first one, which is the husband and wife relationship. A lot of fathers abandon the relationship with the kids because the fathers are only the disciplinarian more often than not. So they really just love their kids from a distance, and they show their love to their kids by buying the kids what they need, doing the stuff that the kids need done, and then if the kids are in trouble, go and get the kids. But being there to physically express that love and show that love and interact and bond and have quality time and stuff like that with the kids, that's not usually what men do. And a lot of times because men grow up without fathers. So they don't have present men in their lives. So they expect men to leave the nest, bring money or make money and send money back, not necessarily be there and actually be involved in the development of the nest, right? So fundamentally speaking, dude realized where he slipped. And I can see why he recognized that.
Be with them and her through WhatsApp. It was good. We're texting regularly and getting back the excitement and intimacy we haven't had in years. We've decided to try and work on things. I know it goes contrary to most of the comments in this thread, but we still love each other. I still have anger and distrust in me. We both fucked up, and it's up to us both to fix it. We're back to an open phone policy, and it's going to take time to trust her again fully. But I really believe if I can give her the love and affection she needs, she'll be loyal. Maybe I'm a fool to many of you, but my family is worth fighting for. Sometimes it's easy to say lawyer up, don't look back and find somebody better. But perhaps it's you that's not the best, and they could do better. I stopped seeing her as my wife around the time my son was born. I only saw her as...
So Michael says, life is fun, better grab it, make your life 100% better, just come and learn. Yeah, the whole thing is that he realized that if he gives his wife the affection that she deserves, that she'd probably stay loyal to him. She stayed loyal to him for 5 years, recognizing that he walked out of the relationship emotionally like 2 years ago. So if he gave her the love and affection that she's been missing for the last couple of years, their marriage would be fine. You know, and yes, most people quickly find fault in the other person and then run for divorce. But you have to recognize, and I'm going to be real with you. You can only find fault in someone else that you have been able to recognize in yourself. So if your partner is not giving you the emotional validation that you need, it is likely that you're not doing it either, because you wouldn't know what emotional abandonment looks like if you've never done it, right? So when you recognize that things aren't going the way you wanted to go in the relationship, then you have to recognize how did that come about without placing blame on people, and then identify what to do to correct it. Michael says, sometimes I love her, sometimes I hate her, but I couldn't live without her. Ozzy Osbourne. That's a good song. That's a good song. But another thing that I can tell you is that a lot of the times you miss them when they're not around, and you can't stand them when they are around, because a lot of the times you have misdirected rays from stress. One, because you don't articulate your stress with your partner, and two, your partner doesn't put in any effort to alleviate your stress. So you will find yourself in a situation being overwhelmed by stress, wondering why are the other people in your household not help you with the stress when they have the capabilities of helping you with the stress. That is stressful. It's like if you were the only person rowing the boat because you were the only person in the boat, you wouldn't have a problem. If you were the only person rowing the boat and there were 5 other people in this boat, you would get pissed off. Why are y'all not helping me? Right? It's a higher level of stress to see that there is more manpower here that is not being proactive to the situation. If you were digging a ditch, if you were cutting grass, if you were washing a building, anything that seems like a task too big for one person, if there's more than one person there that could be contributing to that task, but you're the only person contributing to that task, that's when you get pissed off and ask yourself, well, why the fuck is everybody here if nobody's putting in the work? He said that's enough to give anybody PTSD. You're right. But guess what? Most people have PTSD from their relationships. They have PTSD from their past relationships. They're not getting treated for that PTSD, but they're reacting to the triggers of PTSD. And that's going to have them have misdirected rage. They're going to be lashing out on their partners. They're going to be doing things that they otherwise would not have done if they had more communication and more cooperation in their relationship and in their household. Not just where people cooperate with me, I cooperate with them, right? Because I do agree sometimes when women say it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street with some things, but it's a one-way street with others. I should be able to help my wife when my wife needs help, but my wife should be helping me do the things that needs to be done so that I can focus on more stressful and more complicated tasks that my wife should not be doing, right? So if I'm going to be the one that's going to be doing all the heavy and dangerous stuff, my wife should be doing all of the easy organizational stuff. right? So I should not have to ask my wife to do the easier organizational stuff, because she should just know that these are the things that I don't have time for because I'm doing the things that she doesn't want to do, right? Or that she can't do, right? If I'm doing the things you don't want to do and the things that you can't do, then you're going to do the things that I don't want to do or the things that I don't have time for. That is balance, right? It doesn't mean that you're better at it than I am, or I'm better at it than you are, or it's a man's job or it's a woman's job. That is balance. If I'm doing what you don't want to do and you're doing what I don't want to do, I'm doing what you can't do and you're doing what I don't have time to do, that is balance, because everything is still getting done and it is not all being put on one person, right? But a lot of relationships, it's more 60, 40, 70, 30, where one person benefits from the extra effort of the other person, but nobody says anything. And the person that's putting in the extra effort develops more resentment. They typically start their resentment by shutting down emotionally, and then they carry on that resentment by not projecting any, and they become emotionally dead and they get used to it, right? And they're not projecting any new emotion. Then the second person that's not experiencing that emotion starts looking for emotion outside of the relationship, and that's where the affair comes from. And notice, it wasn't just, oh, women do it or men do it. Whoever ends up being the byproduct of resentment ends up not experiencing the emotion that they used to experience before the resentment developed. Not knowing what caused the resentment is going to prevent the person experiencing the resentment from being capable of rectifying the resentment. As long as the resentment lingers, the person experiencing the resentment is not going to get the emotional validation or the physical intimacy that they need in a relationship, which ultimately means that that person is going to develop resentment towards the resentment, and they're going to end up in the affair. So you have core problem, resentment, retaliatory resentment, affair. That's typically how it goes down. It's a one-way street. If you want my time, to ask the day before if I'm available, or maybe just or maybe I just don't want to do it. Well, take for example my schedule. I probably got 12 hours worth of work overnight, right? And I'm probably going to have 5 or 6 hours worth of sleep during the day, right? So that's going to be about 18 hours from tonight till probably midday tomorrow. That means tomorrow afternoon I'm available now, or at least I'm awake and not in the middle of my work hours, right? Now, during this time, am I doing things that you need done, or am I just hanging out? If I'm doing things that you need done, then I'm not getting any rest. I'm not getting any peace. I'm not getting any time off. I am 24/7, right? So if you want my time, what you have to do is make time for me, meaning that all of the things that I'm doing, because I just explained to you, if I got a 12-hour workday and a 6-hour sleep, that's 18 hours out of 24. That leaves me with 6 more hours. And if those 6 hours I'm spending doing stuff for you, I don't have free time to hang out. So if you see that I got too many things to do, if you take those things off of my plate, that frees up my time. By freeing up my time, I ultimately have nothing to do. Now I've got 6 hours where I can give you 3. But if you know that I got too much to do, and then you're going to come and complain, well, why are you not here? Why are you not present? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you put the weight of the relationship on my shoulders, and I'm holding it down. But while I'm holding it down by myself, I'm in a tag team match as the only fighter. I'm in a 3-on-1 match and I'm tired. I can't tag you in. And since I can't tag you in, I have no energy to entertain you in between rounds. So it's not just I don't want to be bothered or I don't want to do it. It's a dynamic that you recognize that everybody needs an emotional break, a mental break from the stressors in life. The same way that you sometimes need an emotional break and a mental break from your partner. But if you never get that mental break, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you are always in something. It doesn't always have to be physically strenuous. It could be mentally strenuous. You stress will wear you out. So that 6 hours of downtime Between the time I get up and the time I got to get started, if that 6 hours of downtime is me taking an extra nap or me taking a mental break so that I can be prepared for the next 12 hours of hell, then in that scenario, I don't have any time. So can you talk to me today to make appointments for tomorrow? No, because I got so much stuff to do tomorrow. But if you know that my day off is on Thursday, you're going to try to make arrangements to do something with me on Thursday, maybe. But guess what's going to be done on Thursday? All the stuff that I don't got to do the other 6 days out of the week. All the stuff that I don't have time to do for the other 6 days out of the week. And then I'm going to squeeze time in for you. You also are still looking at my partner is overwhelmed. My partner is effectively overwhelmed because out of 24 hours out of the day, my partner's got something rocking all the time. And the majority of it is for me. And if you can't see that in your partner and say, let me start doing stuff to take these responsibilities off my partner's plate, you're asking yourself to be shut out. Because sometimes before a partner blows up on you, sometimes what they'll do is they just won't mess with you. Before they tee off on you, before they start arguing and fussing and cussing at you, what they'll do is they'll just stop. If I've asked you to do the same thing multiple times and you ain't never done it, I just won't talk to you until you get it done. Now you're like, oh, we'll never talk no more. Did you ever finish what I asked you to finish? There's give and take there, right? Let's go ahead and keep going with this one.
As a mother, I have made a promise this will never happen again. I intend to stick to it. As for the guy, well, he had no choice but to confess to his wife. You see, I had already called her HR and asked about him. Combine that with the events the night before and me raging, and he knew what was coming. He didn't go into work the next day and confessed. Apparently, she kicked him out, and he's living with his parents. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. You see, I know he fell hard for my wife. It's easy to.
Okay.
However, I also know.
You see what he just did? So I know for you guys on TikTok, y'all can't hear what's going on, but we're working on that. We're trying to get the stream key to get you guys over onto the YouTube side of things. But for everybody else who's listening to this on YouTube, he tried to get this dude in trouble on the job by complaining to her job's human resources about her coworker communicating with him on social media. Do you see how that petty behavior is inappropriate? Now, because the dude's job is on the line, he's got to go and talk to his wife and tell his wife about how he might lose his job because he was starting an affair with some other dude's wife. And I know some people are, oh yeah, that's good for him, blah blah blah. No, look, that's unnecessary retaliation because the husband that did it caused the problem by ignoring his wife for multiple years in a 5-year marriage, right? And then when he finds out that she is starting to emotionally move on, he's going to sabotage her career by complaining to her job to make the other dude not affiliate with her. And you understand that type of complaint is ultimately a harassment complaint. Yeah, it's coming from the husband, but it's still a harassment complaint. And 95% of the time, when a harassment complaint goes to HR, the man gets fired, not the woman. The man gets fired. Okay. So when the man doesn't go into work the next day, he's potentially looking for a new job because he's already been reported by HR. If he look at this woman wrong, he could lose his job. So he's going to find another one. Now he's got to tell his wife that he's got to go look for another job because he started a relationship with this woman on his current job, and now he can't stay on that job anymore. Now his wife just put him out. He's got to go stay with his mama. So the man that caused the problem, the first guy who caused the problem in his own marriage, just destroyed 2 marriages out of resentment. That wife, the second wife, the other woman, who knew nothing about what was going on, didn't need to go through that. He could have just kept his mouth closed and worked on his own relationship. Because recognizing within 7 days of this situation going down, He done made up with his wife and everything. They're gonna work on their marriage and go back to the way things were. So why did this dude have to go and destroy this other man's marriage out of envy and resentment? Like I told you guys over an hour ago, when people are hurt, what they want to do is they want to destroy the other person. They want to destroy the other person. Um, Hold on. It looked like I seen some people that was trying to jump in. Were you guys trying to jump in over here on TikTok? Did you guys have something that y'all wanted to say? Because I seen some stuff where it was like, show me. If you guys were trying to jump in, let me know. And then I'll be able to see if I can get y'all in here. Oops, I done pushed the wrong button. What's that button do? Oh, it allows for co-hosts, and this allows extra guests. I didn't see that one. We still working on this, y'all. But no, TikTok was like, oh, have two people come on to the show. If y'all wanted to jump in, even if y'all are here on TikTok, if y'all want to jump into the show, say something, and I'll bring you in. We can turn it into a group discussion because they can hear y'all. Y'all can't hear them. Not yet, at least. But we're gonna work on that. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, and we'll have that stream key thing situated. Um, but I was just double checking because if anybody wants to drop a comment uh straight up, just let me know to put you in, and I'll put you guys in. So let's go ahead and see what the next
So
situation
all she really desired was for me to give the affection he was. She will talk to him at work like she does everyone. But there will be no more texting. I believe her.
So
Her phone is open to me again, and her Google account is on my PC. Besides, once she makes up her mind, there's no changing it. The only time they got is when he drove her home, and that will be me from now on. If his relationship isn't like mine, he has lost it all and will be paying child support and alimony for his 2-year-old daughter and wife for a long time.
Dang, you just caused this man to lose his wife, put him on
I went
child
on 2
support
dates with a man and had a great time. He asked me about my ex and I told him. Then he sent me a long message saying we needed to take a break because I didn't seem over my ex. We then went on 2 more dates a couple weeks later and had a good time except for the fact that he got jealous when I said I was going to go to salsa dancing lessons and also asked me to move in with him. He also told me that he deleted my number after our break because
All right, so real quick, we got a new person that's jumped in, and she's dove right in with having a person that she's been talking to, like I guess they just started dating not too long, but she talking to him about her ex, and he thinks that she's not over her ex, and now he's allegedly, according to her, getting jealous about the fact that she is um, going out salsa dancing, probably because she's going out with another dude. Uh, because salsa dancing is a two-person thing. There's got to be a second person. So unless you're going out with your homegirls, which very rarely happens, salsa dancing would likely be uh, you and you and some other dude. And then she's saying that a dude deleted her number when I guess they broke up after a little bit of time of dating, and now all of a sudden they are um, starting to talk again. So hold on a second. FX Trader says, if you want to get fired, start a relationship at work. You ain't lying, bro. This is one of the worst things that men do in life is we find a way to become attracted to one of the girls on the job. Worst place to pick up chicks because the men always get fired. If something happens, people will talk bad about the woman behind the woman's back throughout the job. She'll have a bad reputation. It might slow down her ability to get promotions, if anything, but she'll always have her job. Something happens with the chick where the dude is he gets fired. He gets fired. Dude, zero tolerance. Dude gets fired. Harassment on the job is not uniform. Harassment on the job, the man gets fired, the woman gets shamed. That's it. The man is gonna get shamed, but the man is gonna get shamed and get fired. The woman is just gonna get shamed. Okay. So it is the worst thing in the world for a man to do to go and look for, or not look for, but allow any type of relationship to happen on the job. I understand we can't control our feelings, but we control how we react to them. You might have a thing for, you might have an on the job crush that your on the job crush never finds out about because you never project those feelings on the job. And you don't interact with your on the job crush off the clock. Strictly professional. You should be more professional with your on the job crush than you do with the people that you don't have a crush on. Right? That should be the thing. Because you'll lose your job real quick. But let's see what this lady's got to say about her new boyfriend
He
situation.
kept looking at my Bumble profile and then looked me up in the white pages to get my number back. Anyway, I told him it was too fast.
Okay, so they stopped talking to one another for a brief moment. This man and this woman, they had stopped talking for a brief moment, and he had deleted her number. But then he went and found her number back, looking through her Bumble profile, looked her up on the white pages, like did some sleuthing, and went and got her number back. So I'm guessing they had a fallout where he was mad enough to delete her contact information, and she wasn't caught talking to him, but he decided he wanted to get back in touch with her, so he reached out. But he found her information and he reached out a second time. Me, I would probably block the number first, right? And then after a while, maybe delete the number unless I was 100% through with the person. But I mean, everybody's different.
And I couldn't continue dating. He said, "Thank you for the honesty," and then I archived the WhatsApp chat. I just
Okay.
looked now a month later,
Also, no.
and he sent multiple messages on WhatsApp. I had a friend read them because I don't even want to look. My friend just said that it's a lot and they
So they talking on WhatsApp. I think that WhatsApp has become the substitute priority text message situation because the other people that was talking on the show also was using WhatsApp. It's weird because WhatsApp is not the primary text scenario. So whatever phone number she has on her WhatsApp account is the phone number that she's using to connect herself to everything else, right? So the number she gave him is not the number to her direct cell phone. It's just her WhatsApp account number. Now, he's using that to communicate with her, trying to work on the relationship after they had this fallout, and she's not trying to entertain it.
were Reddit worthy, so I blocked his number. Then, this is all yesterday, I get an Instagram message request, not sure how he found it, and then a WhatsApp call and then messages from another number of his. I blocked that too. He also tried contacting me on Spotify. He knows where I live. It what to do. Thanks.
Okay, so he found her on Instagram, reached out there, contacted her WhatsApp from another WhatsApp number, reached out there. Now she said, what was the other one? Spotify, whatever. I don't know how all of these different apps that apparently he was able to connect the dots to these things. And she's like, I don't know what to do. We'll block them on all of that shit. One of the things y'all got to understand, and everybody has done this a time or two, but nobody really pays attention to it. You created your email. You put your government name on your email. You put your social security number. Well, you didn't do that. You put your phone number, your address. You put a lot of details down on your email, and that metadata is attached to your email when you sync your email to any app that you use. More often than not, people only use one email for everything. What that does is that links every app that you use to that email. And typically, it is the email that is on your phone. So, whatever your primary email is that you use to activate your cell phones, usually is the primary email that you use to auto activate a profile for every app on that phone. Even if you have 5 or 7 other bullshit ass emails for other things, you prioritize the one email that is prioritized on your phone. That's your first mistake. Second mistake, putting contact information in your cell phone. Yeah, I, I've got a bunch of phones, so I can do this. I got different phone numbers for different reasons. But for the average person, if you got a recovery phone number on your primary email, that email should be a recovery email for your secondary email that has no phone numbers or addresses or anything attached to it and no real name on it. That secondary email should be the email used on all of your social media apps. Why? Because it doesn't come back to a real person. Then if something happens where you get locked out of that email, you can do an email recovery from your primary email without having to jeopardize your primary email so that metadata doesn't go anywhere. The reason why the guy was able to continuously find you in different places was for two reasons. One, because he was looking. Two, because every app syncs your contact list to that app through, guess where? The contact list in your emails. Because your email holds a contact list, WhatsApp holds a contact list. And if you sync your WhatsApp to your social media profiles, guess what your social media profile is going to do? Hey, you two are friends. Send them an invite. Start having a conversation. Reconnect again. I got people that I stopped messing with 5 years ago that found out that I had downloaded Telegram and started sending me messages on Telegram. I had to block them on Telegram and delete Telegram because I wasn't messing with you. I only got on Telegram for this one activity. I didn't get on Telegram and talk to you. If I wanted to talk to you, I would call your phone. I don't want to talk to you, so I don't call your phone. So when you message me on Telegram, it's like, nope, not happening. Right? So the lady's like, oh, well, he knows where I stay. I don't know what to do. Nothing. That's what you do. If you're a true-blooded American, you should have your Second Amendment with you all the time. And if you have your Second Amendment with you all the time, nothing. If he pops up out of nowhere, you know who he is, you know what he looks like. You just let him know that anything less than 20 feet could lead to him missing a kidney. That's it. And if he's gonna talk to you, he's gonna talk to you. And if he's not gonna talk to you, he's not gonna talk to you. Right? But one of the problems I have with this is that women want to be pursued, but they want to be pursued the way they want to be pursued. They don't want the men to pursue them the way the men know how to pursue. The way men know how to pursue is that a man is supposed to make the initial engagements and then maintain the interactions with the woman by keeping her happy with buying her things and taking her nice places and doing things for her. Nowhere in there does she have to do anything for the guy besides sleep with the guy, which is a huge problem because her value is not there, but that's the only location her value is because she doesn't do anything else in a relationship. Now, when a relationship stops being satisfactory to the woman, it is the man's responsibility to make up, even if it's the woman's fault, because as she claimed in this particular situation, she was weighing too heavily on her ex as if she still was emotionally attached to her ex, which would leave a problem in her present relationship because if she has not recovered from her past relationship, she does not have the capabilities to move forward in her next relationship. So the problem that we have with this is that if he is telling her, hey, we need to chill out and reorganize the situation so that you can stop weighing in on your ex. And they parted ways for a little bit because she didn't want to hear that. And now he's like, all right, let's work on this relationship. His effort in reaching out to her is what a man is supposed to do. And since we have social media these days, and you got to understand, like the Gen Zs and younger generation, y'all think, oh, everything is social media. So, oh, he's stalking me because he's got my Twitter, my Instagram, my TikTok, my this, my that, my the other. And oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Look, back in the day when we had these kinds of breakups before 2009, we would go to the girl's house. We would be beating on the door all afternoon. Her mom and them would be coming over there trying to call the police on us and stuff. We'd be out there in the middle of the night throwing little pebbles at the window to get her attention. We'd be standing out there with the big ass boom box with the mixtape and shit, making an ass out of ourselves in public so that we could get her to give us another chance. Women don't do that. Women just tolerate you or move on. Men have to spectate themselves in public, shame themselves in public to get the woman to say, okay, you've made an ass out of yourself enough. Let's go ahead and come inside and stop embarrassing yourself for society so that we can go ahead and talk about this. Right? That's how things used to happen before 2009. After 2009, now we got all the social media. So what we have right now is her ability to ghost you because she's not satisfied with your decision that she's stuck on her ex. You don't have the capabilities to reconnect because even if y'all live 3 blocks down the street from one another, the problem is that you've got to get her permission on social media before you can come and knock on her door. It has become socially unacceptable to do house calls, which is stupid. Because when we didn't have social media, that's what the hell we did. We knocked on the door and see if you answered. Right? So when he tried to connect and she don't want to talk to him, and then you got to understand when he tried to connect, he connected on WhatsApp. Her homegirl was on WhatsApp looking at the messages. So whatever she was saying to the dude, he thought it was his girl, his ex-girlfriend. But the communication meant that there was an opportunity to rekindle because you got to get past the woman's pissed off phase. So you've got to allow her to say all the mean things that she's going to say to you and then continue to apologize, continue to work on getting her past her anger and frustration so that you can get her to the acceptance and negotiation phase. Because as long as she's in the denial phase and the anger and frustration phase, it's not her fault. She did nothing wrong and she's mad at you because you said something that she didn't like. You got to get her past that phase in order to get her to the phase where she can accept where she went wrong, do some reflection, and then start working on reconciliation. And that phase is the phase that he had to get her number back. He had to call her, he had to text her, he had to email her, he had to talk to her on different sites to try to connect to her. He hasn't gone to her house yet. He hasn't gone to her job yet. But that's what you do when you try to make the relationship work, right? The whole phrase make it work is not hoping that things get better. It is putting in the extra effort to make things better. Now, if she blocks him on enough social media scenarios and he meets her in person, I don't think it'll get that far. But if he was to meet her in person and she let him know, look, we will never rekindle this, you know, and further contact and communication would lead to a restraining order, which will lead to police being involved. That conversation, keeping your Second Amendment on hand. If he is a weirdo, he'll back down because of the Second Amendment. But if he's not a weirdo and he just thought that this could work out and he realizes that you will prefer to have him arrested than to give him another chance, he'll just back down off of that. But you know that this is the conflict of interest. Men have the responsibility to pursue the woman, and if he doesn't pursue the woman, then he's shamed for that. He's insecure. He's not a man. Masculinity is challenged because the guy did not do enough to get the girl. And women wonder why the guy don't double back for a second or third try. This is why. Because if she's no longer interested in the guy, that's when the pursuit goes from being romantic to being creepy. Same pursuit, same behavior, same effort. It goes from being romantic to being creepy because she's no longer interested. If she was interested and she wanted to play hard to get, the exact same pursuit would be, oh, he's trying so hard. I respect that. I appreciate that. I value that. But if she's not interested, oh my God, he won't leave me alone. He's such a creep. He's a stalker, blah, 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 blah. No. And this is why men are like, you know what? Bump that. I'm not even going to try. If I ask and she does not give me the right response, that's it. And then women are like, oh, well, why are men not pursuing women anymore? Because y'all demonize the interactions between women and men. That's why. Because if we don't do it the way you want us to do it, you're going to try to put us in jail for it. But at the same time, you want us to do it. Right. But you're not going to paint a book or create a book or a pamphlet or whatever that shows us how to do it the way you want us to do it. Every man has the exact same or similar expectations. Women don't want to do those expectations, but most men have the same expectations. Each woman is different. While each man is different, the commonalities amongst men, you can perform that and every man is good. Right? That's why women say, oh, you know, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, you know, sleeping with the man, affection, whatever, sit down, shut up, follow his instructions. That's a short list. That's like the 10 commandments of satisfying a man. But with a woman, there's like a million things that you've got to deal with and each woman has a different thing, and none of them are rational or realistic. So then we have to ask ourselves, well, what do we do now? Right? It's crazy. It's crazy. But under this same observation, we still have to figure out um how do we make the relationship work, right? It's a tough call. All right, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
I'm 32 and my husband is 37. We've been together 7 years and married for 2. In the beginning, we were being intimate multiple times a week. After a few years, maybe twice a week or more. Now
Okay.
for the past year, it's been like once a week, sometimes twice, but I feel like I have to literally force myself to make sure he's satisfied. I'm just never in the mood anymore. At first I thought it was the weight gain from my pregnancy over a year ago, but I lost weight and no change. Then I thought maybe it was my new medications, but my doctor said that low libido is not known to be a side effect. So now I'm thinking maybe it's my husband. He's a
Nope.
great husband to me. He provides, takes care of us, listens to me and cares about my feelings and would do anything for me. But if I'm being honest, he's kind of a jerk to our kids. And it's escalated over the last 2 years since they've been getting older and want
Sitting over here looking at how to. I gotta change these mics. Let me see. Let me see. Matter of fact, let me try to run this for a minute, and let's see if we can get a. Oh yeah. Because then y'all can hear what everybody else is hearing at the same time. I didn't really want to have it at this particular pitch, but let's see if we can do it like this.
more freedom. We have
Hold
3,
on a second.
12, 10, and 2. The oldest is my husband's from a past
Oh, that's
relationship, and the
horrible,
10
'cause
years
I
old is
can't
from
hear
my
it.
past relationship. The little one is ours. Anyway, he has
All
never
right, hold on a
physically
second, y'all. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can go grab the other ones. Nope. These are the ones that I just put on the charge. Give me just a second, guys. Now, remember when I told you that I had bought these from Temu almost a year ago, like a little over a year ago? And I told y'all, they used to hold this for like the whole show. And now it looks like they don't hold as long as they used to. So now I'm going to try to.
Bounce back and forth with these microphones for right now, and then we're gonna see if we can run the rest of the show with these.
hurt
But I
them
gotta buy a
ever.
new set.
Has never hit them or pushed them or anything like
Hold on.
that. But he
Wait, I'm not
has
hearing
such a
the girl
short
anymore.
temper. The smallest thing will aggravate him and he just goes off and
Uh-oh.
ridicules them for it.
Oh Lord. Is her volume? Yeah, her volume's up. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it from the sidelines. This is why I be trying to listen in. All right, let's see what we got going on here.
He doesn't scream or swear at them, but it's still not okay with me. It's a topic we have had arguments on multiple times. It's honestly the only thing we have ever argued about.
There we go.
He doesn't seem to understand my side and thinks I'm belittling him and thinks I want him to just let them ignore his rules. But they are kids. He had really shitty parents growing up, and I remind him that he should give our kids the grace and understanding he never received. I have asked him to try therapy twice, but he never looked into it. He doesn't even want to spend time with them, the older two. And I honestly don't even like doing things as a family because he acts like our kids shouldn't even be allowed to get excited because they're acting ridiculous and need to calm down. It embarrasses me when we're in public because they are some of the most well-behaved kids when we're out, and it's like it still isn't good enough. One of the most attractive things to me is seeing him be a loving dad towards them, and I just haven't seen much of that lately. My kids always come to me with any problem because I have a much calmer demeanor. My fear is it's getting to the point where our kids will completely estrange themselves from him.
So this happened 5 days ago, and I still feel sick thinking about it. My family had a big
All right. So hold on a second. I had to. I'm delayed real quick. So here's the thing. Now, according to this woman, she's got beef because so ultimately she's building resentment towards her husband, and that resentment has caused her to lose her intimate desires for her husband. The problem that she's having is that she doesn't like the way her husband raises the kids. This is going to be a problem in a lot of marriages, specifically because you guys don't talk about how to raise the kids until the kids need to be raised. And when the kids need to be raised, you are in the moment reacting. If you are not, because planned parenting is designed in social expectations as having the crib, having the funds, having the diapers, having the bottles. That's planned parenting, right? That's what people believe planned parenting is, having the things that the child needs to survive. But truthfully, planned parenting is being able to talk about, like, if the child acts an ass in public, do I slap the shit out of him, or do we take the kid home and talk to him about it at the house? If we have kids of no dating until you're 18, or are we going to have just no dating for the girls, or are we going to say across the board nobody can be in a relationship? You know, in the modern progressive world where boys have boyfriends too, are we going to just say no boyfriends until you're 25, and then if you find out that your son is into dudes, it's like, well, bro, the rules were no boyfriends until you're 25. That includes you. You guys got to discuss these things the same way you got to discuss whether or not religions are going to be involved or whatnot in your family dynamic. You have to recognize, though, if you're having these kinds of conversations between the time y'all start getting intimate and the time y'all end up pregnant, if y'all agree that children are going to be in your relationship, y'all start talking about, like, well, what happens if this goes down and what happens if that goes down? I would handle it differently, this, that, and the third. You guys come to a mutual agreement that under certain dynamics, if I know that I'm going to be too harsh in my response, then I'm going to tell the kids, go ask your mother. In certain scenarios where mom knows I'm going to be too soft on the situation, I'm going to tell the kids, go ask your father. Under both scenarios, mom should always ask, what did your dad say? And if I go ask your dad, will he tell me that that's exactly what you said, what he said? Then special shout out to Jose. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Then you have uh, the father that's going to be like, do what your mom said. Or, if you didn't talk to mom about it, I'll go and talk to mom about it. But you guys want to maintain a united front. Now, it sounds to me like, regardless of what his childhood was, he's strict with the kids to teach the kids how to behave in public. And you don't want him to be as hard on the kids. Now, a woman that does not respect the way the man decides to treat the children, as far as teaching the children how to act in public and how to follow instructions, that is going to be a big, big problem, which also is going to cause the children to divide and conquer. If I want to do something and I know dad won't let me do it, I'm going to go to mom. If I want to do something and I know mom won't let me do it, I'm going to go to dad. That's how kids behave. If dad said no, don't come to me because your dad said no. Whatever he said, that's what I'm going to say. Even if I disagree with him because he said no, he is the leader of the family. When dad says no, that's the final straw. I was going to be more respectful to it is if I wanted to say yes, but your dad said no, the answer is still going to be no, which puts the authority. So testing, yeah, okay, good. So what I was saying was, even in that dynamic, it puts the authority on the father to make the finite decisions for the kids. And I know some women are like, oh, well, it should be 50-50. It should be 50-50. Oh, it should go both ways. Look, ladies, if you teach your children to listen to their father, whatever their father says, do what your dad says. You reinforcing parenting from that particular angle. Dads do that instinctively. Historically, everybody says, listen to your mother. But women say, oh, no, you're being too hard. Oh, da, 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 da. You shouldn't say, you shouldn't do. Look, if you disagree with my decisions with my children, you and I should have a discussion about that after I finish dealing with this situation with my children. And you're not going to have that discussion with me in a scenario where it's loud enough for the children can hear us arguing about the fact that you didn't like what I said. So if the kids are going to go spend a night by their friend's house and then you and I are going to have an argument about why you didn't like what I said to the kids 5 days ago, that's fine. But you and I are not going to argue in front of the kids. You and I are not going to argue in a different room as the kids where the kids can hear me and you disagreeing about the kids. Okay? Mutual respect in a relationship requires for reinforcement. Just like you got to treat parenting like police treat social interaction. 5 cops will show up. 1 cop will be breaking every law in the book. The other 4 cops will be sitting there watching it. Nobody will challenge the first cop that's being ridiculous. All 5 cops, blue blood code, everybody sticks together. When they tell the police report, they're going to support the person who said it, who did the wrong thing, and make it seem like he did nothing wrong. Now, when those police officers get back to the precinct, when they get back to the locker room, they're going to look at one another and be like, hey, man, such and such situation, you fucked up there, right? You should probably not be so harsh with the citizens, right? We're trying to build public rapport, right? They will have that discussion in the precinct. They're not going to have that discussion on the street. And likewise with parenting, it's the same thing. You don't argue with your husband in front of your kids. If I said sit down and shut up, and you look at mom should be, your daddy said sit down and shut up, sit down and shut up. Then after the kids sat down and shut up and dad resolved the situation, then later on that day or later on this week, hey, I don't think we should actually tell our kids legitimately to shut up. Maybe we could try nicer words like be quiet or calm down or give me silence or something to that effect. And then dad can respond with, well, if in the event that they're being cooperative, then I could try using nicer words. But if they're being defiant, then I'm going to tell them to sit down and shut up. And if they continue to be defiant, I'm probably going to start cursing. That's how you negotiate the situation. Michael said, never be a male in a field that is dominantly female workplace. Well, you can be a male in a female workplace because take male cheerleaders. Most of the people in that field are female. Probably the only male is probably the dudes that throw the girls up and the coach. Right? Probably the only safe place that a man can have a job around a bunch of girls is if he's the coach of a cheerleading squad. Because everywhere else, he can't be in a public park reading a newspaper with 5-year-olds playing on a swing, but he could teach girls in short dresses how to dance. Steven says, I'd rather be surrounded by females. That's not why I'm in college, but it's a perk when I get out. Well, truth be told, men are going to be more confrontational with dominance and assertion of authority. Women are going to be more irrational in the workplace. When you start talking about logic and reason, they don't have very many rebuttals. So when a woman brings logic and reason to the table, if it makes sense, you have less to debate. So it's easier to work with women in the workforce because when you are both making it make sense, there's less to argue about. Men will fight about, I want to be right or I want to be in control. Women will fight about, I want to be heard. Well, if I heard you and your ass didn't make sense, then I ain't nothing else for us to talk about. But if I heard you and you made sense, let's do what she said. So it's easier to work with women in the workforce. But we also have to recognize that women with their scantily clad outfits makes it harder to deal with in the workforce, because while women got cleavage and unnecessarily short skirts, because you shouldn't be showing kneecaps in the workforce, but they do. The fact is that women are not going to be brought to human resources the way men are. So we got to recognize that. Michael says, all these society platforms must be on most TikTok to WhatsApp, Bumble, Twitter. Yeah, the social media platforms are like Bumble, Hinged, Tag, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. There's a lot of social media platforms. Facebook used to be just for college students, but then they went public and now it's for everybody. And Facebook replaced MySpace, right? And all of these places were supposed to be for social interaction, but every social interaction platform is a dating style platform because you socially interact with people in order to hook up and make dates, right? So everything on social media turns out to be a we're going to end up talking a date kind of scenario. Trader says, when the wife is disrespectful to her husband and he asks her if she would talk like this to her boss, she says, but you're not my boss. Oh, I thank you for bringing that up, Trader. Women don't like the way men used to slap the taste out of their mouth back in the 50s. I'm gonna put a pin in that response, but I'm just gonna say, let's be real. Let's be real. In the workforce, you get paid by the hour to do as you're told. More often than not, because women swear to God that men run the workforce, that your boss is a man. The wild part is that you're getting minimum wage or close to minimum wage to do as you're told, and you will not argue with your boss. Yes, sir, no, sir. You will do the job, no matter how bad you feel, no matter how good you feel, no matter what's going on at home, no matter what's going on with your kids, you do what your boss tells you to do. This happens when women have more respect for their boss than they have for their husbands and their boyfriends, because when you come home, you want to run the house and tell your husband and your boyfriend that is the primary breadwinner, the one that's protecting and providing, the one that you chose to lead your family, and you will talk down to him and disrespect him and devalue him and shame him for talking up for himself till he ultimately becomes the silent partner that lets you run over the house and do whatever you want to do. This is a situation where women just have no respect for the men that they chose. And usually it is because they chose the person because of what he was spending on her, not because she respected his personality, his characteristics, and his decision making skills. A lot of the times, a woman is willing to accept a man for the money that he's spending, not the decisions that he makes. And if he's a wasteful spender, and that's what she wanted, he's not good with spending, so she's not going to trust his decisions. At the end of the day, women have to change the way they choose their boyfriends and their husbands. And you have to choose a man where you will respect his decision because that's what you want to do. It's almost like hiring a lawyer. You hire the lawyer that will speak on your behalf in the courtroom. And when your lawyer starts talking on your behalf, you're not going to argue with what your lawyer says. If your lawyer is supposed to have all of your best interests in mind, when you get in the courtroom, you're quiet like O.J. Simpson. Your lawyer is going to say all kind of stuff, good, bad, and ugly. But when your lawyer finishes, you're going to get the results that you're looking for because you picked the right lawyer. And you're supposed to do the same thing with your husband and your boyfriend. You're supposed to pick the right man, not pick the man that spends enough money on you, not pick the man that gives you trips around the world, not pick the man. I see Kathy there, not picking the man that buys you a bunch of expensive gifts. Pick the man that's got the right decision making. And when you do that, then you can find yourself in a position where you trust his judgment. And when he gives you an instruction, you do what the fuck he says. But if you're not going to follow his instructions, you're in a bad spot, right? And that's the complication that leads to the bad relationships. Kathy comes in. Special shout out to Jessie Talks. She says, so you're saying women do their things to get a job or a promotion? No, I'm saying that women, first and foremost, we have to recognize that while they have retracted a lot of the affirmative action laws, the affirmative action laws were not retracted for women. So a woman can get a job just because they don't have enough women in the workforce. A woman can get promoted because they don't have enough women in management. Women are not necessarily using their bodies to get promotions on the job. And that was never discussed on tonight's show. What we have said was that if a woman and man ended up in an entanglement on the job, more often than not, the man would be fired by human resources and the woman would be shamed socially for sleeping with the crew. Women are not likely to get fired from the job for sleeping with their coworkers, right? That's what we were talking about. It might slow down a woman's ability to get promotions if she's a liability to the company because she's sleeping with multiple dudes on her floor, but that doesn't mean that they're going to fire her for sleeping with multiple dudes on her floor. But they will fire a dude for sleeping with one of the women on the job because the woman we were talking about, right? So let's pay attention to that. Jesse says there are political organizations dedicated to electing women. Meanwhile, they would never allow an organization for men to do the same thing. Yeah, you're right. And then Steven says, never stick your pen in the company ink. You are true. You both of y'all are correct. They're correct. Men have to fight their way to get to where they need to be at, while women don't necessarily have to do that. Women can sometimes just show up and receive. Now, yes, there is some skill set there that's going to be required from time to time, but the skill set requirement for women is going to be less dominant towards the women than it is towards the men, right? A lot of times a woman is going to get there just because she's a woman. Sometimes she'll get there because she's attractive. She doesn't have to sleep with the boss to get there, but they might need an attractive woman in the boardroom to persuade the men that are they're doing business with. Not saying that the game is set up fairly for everybody, but at the same time, a man has to get in there because he's that damn good. He's not going to get in there because he's a dude. He's not going to get in there because he's got good skin complexion. He's not going to get in there because he's attractive. He's going to get in there because he's got logic and reason and skill set that is going to make this deal go over correctly. He's going to talk his way into winning over the client. That's going to be the biggest difference, right? But where we were just talking about a moment ago, because y'all jumped in with the career path after the parenting thing, because the woman was complaining about how she's no longer attracted to her husband because her husband are too hard on the kids. Well, that's the guy that you married, and you had more than one child, so you saw how he was treating the first child, and you didn't work it out. But now he's got a second and third child, and now you want to complain about it. No, this is how he raises children, and at the end of the day, you got to respect your husband. You do it the way he says do it, and then after it's done, y'all discuss this behind the scenes. And if y'all don't come to a mutual agreement about it, there's certain things that you're going to say, okay, well, husband, that's your role, and husband, this is my role.
Oh, the mic died again. So what we're gonna do while I charge the mic a little bit more, because the mics are not holding up tonight. They used to run like 8 hours, and now they're running an hour and a half. So I'm probably gonna have to get me some extra mics over the next couple of weeks. But while we're waiting on that mic to charge, we're gonna go ahead and listen to the other comment. But I appreciate you stopping in, Jesse. If you got something you want me to know about, let me know, and we'll talk on that at the same time. But let's go ahead and touch base with this other lady that had a complaint.
Gathering out in the country, and I wanted to smoke a little weed without anyone seeing me. There was a storage building on the property where everyone was hanging out, so I figured I'd go in there since it looked empty. I opened the door slowly and looked around. Nobody was inside, so I lit up. About 5 minutes later, I heard the door open, so I panicked and hid because I didn't want anyone catching me smoking. Then I watched my cousins, boy is 17 and girl is 18, walk in, and they immediately started making out. Like, not joking. I was completely frozen. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This is where I made an even dumber decision. I thought about taking a picture because I was so shocked nobody would believe me. I was way too high though, and I forgot Snapchat makes that loud camera sound. They both instantly turned around and saw me. Nobody said much. I just awkwardly left because I had absolutely no idea what to do or even say. Dinner that night was one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever experienced. I could barely eat because my stomach was in knots. Now it's been 5 days, and the girl keeps texting me begging me not to tell anyone. I haven't responded much because I'm honestly just thinking, what the actual fuck? I don't even know what to do with this. I never wanted to be involved in whatever this is, and now I feel like I got dragged into some. I don't even know what to do with it.
He says,
I never wanted to be involved in whatever this is, and now I feel like I got.
Oh, I paused it too early.
Secret I never asked for. What would you do in this situation?
I was trying to time it. So
I have a friend who is 15 years old.
What would you do in this situation?
All right, so I was trying to stay timed up with it, but I failed on that regard. Before I get on her, Jesse said Minnesota has a Republican female candidate for governor named Lisa DeMont, who is super establishment. She is half black and looking exactly like Camilla. Two other big candidates in the primaries. Okay, she doesn't have the capacity to lead, and some women do, but Linda DeMont doesn't know how to lead. Well, I mean, Jesse, that's a good observation to recognize that some people, male or female, do not have the characteristics and capacity to lead. You have to recognize that there are a lot of people that apply for job positions not knowing what it takes to fulfill that job position, but believing that they can win that job position just by fluffing their resume. And when it comes down to running for political positions, a lot of the times, because you're talking about governor, they don't even know what a governor does, right? They just know that if you get elected because I'm cute, if I get elected because I'm a minority, or if I get elected because people know who I am, I got elected. And that election comes with authority and a bigger paycheck. That's what they know. Then they dive in. Now, sometimes, male or female, they don't even you said I don't know. He says Lisa DeMont is a fine candidate. Don't know what y'all are smoking. I am not smoking nothing. I just read what the man said. And I can tell you, I don't know who she is. So I don't have a heads or tails about her. All I'm saying is that hypothetically, a lot of people do apply for jobs that they don't know anything about. So in that dynamic, I can say that since I don't know her, and you're saying she's from Minnesota, so and I'm not even in Minnesota, so I didn't even follow the political trends in Minnesota. But I can tell you that if she does not have results in her career, where in her field she has done things to improve and progress her field, ultimately, I don't have any like procedural evidence to support a promotion. But if she has results, then I can see either she could get promoted or not. He says Lisa DeMont has one billionaire funding her campaign. She pretends to be something she isn't. Okay, that would be a observation. He said, you just described Jasmine Crockett. I don't even know who Jasmine Crockett is. So there's two women running against one another in this political situation. I don't know who either one of those women are. Because I'm not in Minnesota. I wasn't paying attention. He mentioned her because we were originally talking earlier in the show about how the women actually have certain perks in the field that men don't have. And that was following a comment where FX Trader was talking about how women will respect their boss, but they won't respect their man. And that was after the discussion that I had when we were talking about how women should respect the authority of their boyfriends and their husbands when raising children and be a unified front, not dividing authority in front of the children, where the children can now pick which parent they're going to get consent from because they know one parent is harder than the other. So they're going to choose the easier parent so that they can get more of the things that they want, which is a manipulation tactic from the child that the parents allow to happen because the parents allow themselves to stay divided. That's where it snowballed into this. So now you guys are talking about like which political female is not fit for the role. And I'm sitting over here thinking, it's not about the person, guys. It's about the policies that they represent. It doesn't matter if she's a bad decision maker or not to me. To me, it is about what is she going to push while she's in her position? And is that going to impact her money or not? Is that going to impact her ability to make money or not? If she has policies that she's going to push while she's in position that will compromise your ability to function as an American citizen in your city, state, or government, then you need to recognize that even if she's the best person to do what she does, it's going to interfere with your ability to be successful. And one or two things needs to happen. One, you need to vote against the compromise, or two, you need to pivot. Because like more than 70% of people voted for Donald Trump. And at the end of the day, some of the things that he's doing, if you change the way you do things, will make money for you. And some of the things that he's doing will change the way your life is forever, whether it's good or bad. So for the 30-something% of Americans who didn't vote for him, you ain't had no choice in him getting in, but you have to pivot. Now, can everybody benefit from those decisions that are being made by the guys up above? Yes, but it requires you to pivot. So the person, and this is where politics gets hard, because a lot of people who dive into political discussions argue about how smart or how stupid somebody is, but they never talk about the actual policies these people represent and what they're expected to try to push forward and how that stuff will positively or negatively impact us. Now, this is not a political podcast. This podcast talks about how politics will impact your money. So if she's trying to push a policy that's going to negatively impact your ability to financially be successful, I might cover that. Like when Kamala Harris was talking about abortion, that stops men from building legacies. That is a problem. But she was also talking about giving $1.3 million to minorities, and I'm a minority. So that is a benefit. Now, which one is more important? The ability to maintain autonomy with being a father, or the ability to get $1.3 million and go and get you a woman from the Philippines who's not going to get an abortion? That's when you decide on who you're picking, right? Not, oh, Kamala Harris doesn't know what she's doing, or Jasmine Crockett doesn't know what she's doing, or Lisa DeMont doesn't know what she's doing. That's not the point. Whether or not these women are good or bad at their positions isn't the point. It is what they plan to do while they're in position. Jesse says the billionaires has given Lisa DeMont over $3 million. And Donald Trump made a decision that's going to raise the debt to 35 from $30 trillion. And even though he might cause the debt to go up a lot, he may be making some financial changes that causes the debt to go up a lot in the short term so that the debt can go down in the long term. It doesn't mean that their bad decision making is going to hurt us. What matters is that their policies will hurt us. We need to pay attention to those policies, not the people. He says Jasmine Crockett is in Texas. Okay, so you got one in Minnesota and one in Texas. So whether they're good or bad at their job, look, the longer the country lasts, the more often we're going to have more women in more political positions. At one point in time, I even seen a flyer that was supposed to be like Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris for 2028. It would be a 2 female president, vice president campaign trail. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if it were true, like, how would we feel to have the United States run by just women? It would give all women no excuse to be irresponsible. Doesn't mean they're going to stop being irresponsible. It just means that it gives them no excuse to be irresponsible. The same way when Obama ran 8 years as president, it gave all minorities no excuse to be irresponsible. But even after he got out of office, they're still irresponsible. The lower bottom 75% of Americans that make bad choices are going to make bad choices regardless of who's in office. That's the reason why they live paycheck to paycheck. That's the reason why they stay broke. It's because they have not yet recognized that they need to change their lives and make better financial decisions. It is because that even though they know that they need to change their lives and make those financial decisions to improve themselves, they're content with where they are because change takes effort, and that is the effort that they currently don't possess. That's the reason why they're willing to be stagnant, okay? And that's a lot of times what happens in relationships, because people that get into bad relationships get into them for the wrong reasons and stay in them because it's easier to be in this bad relationship with someone I'm familiar with than it is for me to start over in a new relationship with someone I'm not familiar with. He said Lisa DeMont was beat at the GOP convention by Kendall Quallis, a Black businessman. Okay, and the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, is also right. Okay, so you've got a bunch of people that I don't know where she wasn't able to answer the questions as good as the other people there. And it could very well be because she doesn't have a full grasp of what's going on with that particular role. But it also makes a lot of sense that, you know, we're supposed to be paying attention to what policies that they're pushing. Because notice, what just happened here is that the whole discussion shifted from respect the father of your children to which women shouldn't be in politics. But none of the women that are in politics and none of the men are in politics are important. What's important is the policies. Not one shift to the policy that they represent, though. She don't answer questions well. What's that got to do with the policy she's trying to push? Because she don't have to answer questions well. Her cabinet does what she says do, and then they try to make it successful. Because when she's the decision maker at the top, she delegates to everyone else. So if there's 5 men next to her that's jobs are to make her successful, that's what's going to happen. Right? So whatever she says, well, this is what I want to see happen. She could be the dumbest person in the room. If there's 5 people in there to make that happen, your question is, what does she want to see happen? And is that what we want our country to be like? Is that the city and state that we want to be like that? Nobody's paying attention to that. They're paying attention to, oh, she's here, she looks stupid, she doesn't have a good outfit, she's dumb, she don't talk right, this one's got a list. This is like beauty pageant statements. This is popularity contest statements. This isn't actual political discussion because you're not talking about their points. You're not talking about their actual values. What do these people value? Y'all don't know. Most of y'all don't know. I know Jesse knows, but a lot of people who argue politics don't know. Jesse says there were a ton of paid political staffers who were voting, and they all were voting for Lisa DeMont. The grassroots people all or all unified behind Kendall Qualls. So the people who voted for Lisa were employees, and everybody's got the right to vote, and everybody else who wasn't her employees voted for somebody else. The same way the entire police force votes for the chief of police, and all the sheriffs vote for all of the people in the sheriff's department, all the deputies vote for the sheriff. It doesn't change anything. We're still not talking about her policies, and we're still not talking about her platform. We're talking about who she is and what other people do, not what she represents and what she's trying to accomplish, or what someone who's going to be the puppeteer master is going to make her accomplish. We're not even talking about that. When we talked about Donald Trump, we talked about what was it? I can't forget. I can't remember the name of the bill, or not the bill, but the plan. The 906 or 911 plan, or whatever, the Project 2025, Project 2026 that the Republicans were doing. We talked about the whole like 900 something page Project 2026. But we did not talk about, oh, is Trump a good person or a bad person getting that thing? We just talked about Project 2026. See what I'm saying? That's a completely different. And notice what happens with men. With the men, it was like, oh, he has this Republican plan that's a 1,000-page long book of what they plan to accomplish if they get into office, and we either like or don't like the things that they said that they're going to do. But everything in that book, he said it's getting done. Like when he said he was going to put a stop to pornography, now you got to register. People who don't want to register don't sign up. He did the 2 genders only instead of like 40 different genders. He put a stop to the voluntary changes in gender with surgery. He put a stop to that. He did everything that he said he was going to do when it came to that stuff. But those people did vote for him, right? He did stuff for big business. He changed things for the bottom 50%, bottom 25% of America, so that he could stimulate the economy from the bottom up. But everything he said he was going to do in that Project 2025, Project 2026, he's doing it. So we talk about the policies and the person that's going to enforce the policies, and that makes a lot more sense. But when we're talking about the women right now, we're talking about, oh, well, she's either smart, she's not. They paid for voters. Where's the policy in that? Where's the policy in she paid for voters? He said, if Lisa DeMont wins, Minnesota has women versus women racing since Amy, who's that? Klobuchar will be the Democrat nominee. So overall, if this woman wins, you'll have 2 women, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat going against one another to be the female governor of Minnesota. Still no policies. He said, I would only vote for Pedro. Appreciate the jewels, Jesse. Thank you very much. He said, I will vote for Pedro. I don't even know who Pedro is. Bro, at this point, I would vote for Mario and Luigi because I don't even know these people. Nobody's got a policy. That's not my state, but nobody's got a policy. So I can't even say, ooh, that'll help Minnesota. At this point, with the way that the conversation went from women need to respect their men when they have children for those men, and follow the man's instructions in front of the children and teach the children to follow the man's instructions in front of the children? Oh, Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, bro, I would. What's your boy name? Camacho? I would vote for Camacho when we start talking about, because what policy is here? You know, isn't Kane the Big Red Machine from WWE? Isn't he like leader of one of these states right now? We had Arnold Schwarzenegger in one of these places, bro. I don't know what these people are doing right now, but Linda McMahon was a Department of Education. You know what I mean? If Triple H ran for a political position, bro, I would vote for him because he's the game. You know, if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson ran for president, the most electrifying man in politicians in the political field, I would vote for him because I know them. That's how people are behaving right now. They're not voting for these people because of their policies. They're oh, well, I know him, I don't know him. He's smart, he's done, he does this, he does that, but it doesn't. What's going on? He says, do you ever watch political debates? Not all the time, because all the research that I do 365 days a year for this show, if they're not talking about a policy that negatively impacts our ability to make money, save money, invest money, budget money, take care of our families, raise families, take care of our kids, build futures for our kids, I'm never going to come across that information, which is why I don't know these people. Because when I do deep dive research on all the things that will negatively impact our country, that will positively impact our country, that will change the way we make money, save money, and invest money, and none of these people came up. What came up recently was the gold Trump coin that came out that's going to be sold by the U.S. Mint, and the solid gold Trump coin that's going to be sold by the U.S. Mint, and how they're going to be turning profits off of people that are supporters and people who want the 250-year commemorative coins. They're going to be buying all this stuff up as collector's items, and how this is going to benefit everybody. That is what I've come across over the last 2 weeks. But who these people are and what they do, no, none of that has come up, because they have not effectively argued that they want to do anything that will benefit anybody. Because like when the House and the Senate was talking about doing the 32-hour a week law, where that's in legislation right now in Congress, where they're trying to change our 40-hour a week law down to 32 hours a week. That happened, and it's going to impact everybody's paycheck. I covered that 2 weeks in a row. But these people here, and y'all got to understand, it's midterm elections all the way through November 23rd of 2026. People are going to get elected all over the place. And I've been telling y'all all year, pay attention to your city and state, because somebody's running somewhere for something. But nobody's policies are being discussed. When the discussion hit my channel today, we only talked about who was stupid, who was smart, who was cute, who was not, and which woman was in which state, but no policy came up. The closest was she doesn't know how to answer questions, but no policy came up. So even if I didn't watch the debate, if the conversation came into the chat that such and such woman was aiming to dismantle healthcare, that's a discussion. If some woman was aiming to reinforce retirement or put extra emphasis on 401ks, that's a discussion. If some woman decided to reinstate corporal punishment into the local school, that's a discussion, because we will be talking about what she's trying to accomplish, not who she is. I don't have to know any of these people for you to put up one of the things that they believe that they should achieve while they're in their position. If that was the topic of discussion, what did they want to achieve? I could talk about that without knowing about the person, whether or not it benefits me or the greater station of America or not. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about which person is which person, and oh yeah, this will be the first time the two women are arguing against each other on national TV since the war. Not really, because they argue with each other on Bad Girls Club on a regular basis. They argue with each other on Desperate Housewives on a regular basis. But this is the first time that they've done it in a political fashion since the war. But what are the policies that they're arguing about? So he said, I watched he watched a lot of the governors and the U.S. Senate's debate to learn about candidates. True. And then he says, Kane is a mayor in Tennessee and recently opposed flock cameras. Yes, I saw that. I think I mentioned that on the show earlier this week, because Kane, that was the first time I talked about Kane, because I realized that he was in a political position because he said no to flock cameras. He banned flock cameras in Tennessee. Now, Notice how when you talked about Kane, you talked about a political position that benefits his state, right? Notice when you talked about, who are these women? You talked about Lisa, you talked about Amy, you talked about Kendall, you talked about who was it, Jasmine. All you talked about was whether or not they were smart or not. But when you talked about Kane, he put a stop to flock cameras. See how when we talk about the women just got to show up, but when the men had to do something to be part of the discussion, nobody jumped in and said, "Oh yeah, man, I like Kane. He was the Big Bread Machine, the brother of the Undertaker, WWE champion, hardcore champion, tag team champion, blah 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 blah. He should be mayor." No. Soon as you mentioned Kane, you said he put a stop to flock cameras. But when you mention those women, what did they do? What are they trying to do? Nothing. Nobody said anything. The response was, "Did you watch the debate?" I didn't watch Kane's debate, but I know that Kane did something that will benefit people. And I believe that more people that are in Kane's position should be able to put a stop to the flock cameras. He said Kanye West teased the fact that he would run for president a few times. If he debates, I would watch it. I don't think I would. He said Kanye made it. He said Kanye made it on a few different state ballots for president. That would be interesting to see. But again, what is he running? What is he planning on doing? Does he want to become president, to be the second black president in history? Because nobody cares about the second one. They only care about the first one. Like, what policies does he plan on pushing? Steven says, I just pulled up Lisa's picture and I can confirm she will not win from looks. See, look, reinforcing everything I've been saying for the last 25 minutes. They're not here. A lot of people, wise or not about politics, are not here talking about the policies. They're here talking about the people. But the people don't really make the policies. Because the governor is not the only person that makes decisions. The governor is going to make a recommendation. The governor is going to sign off on it. You have a local Congress in every state that's going to be able to decide whether or not we're going to do stuff. So you have the leader, and then you have a select few right below the leader that decides on stuff. So you got the checks and balances on every level of government. And ultimately, the policy itself that the person at the top in that particular state is going to be trying to push for, that's what you're supposed to be paying attention to. So let's say that Kane decided to run for president, right? If he's put a stop to flock cameras in Tennessee as president, he'll put a stop to flock cameras around the country. I would vote for that. But that's the policy, not the person. I got to vote for that person to get that policy. But throughout this short discussion that we switched over for political views, y'all got to understand it. We only talked about one person's policy, and that was Kane's policy. Every other person that we mentioned, oh, Kanye West, because Kanye West, not because of the policy Kanye West is representing. You know, we talked about, when I talked about Donald Trump's Project 2025. So we have Kane with the flock cameras, Donald Trump with Project 2025. The other 5 people we mentioned, they're just people. They're people who are running. If you know them, if you've seen them, like Steven said, I've seen her photo and she don't look like she's going to win. Visual observation. She's not getting in there on her looks, so she's not going to get in there because she's attractive. So she must be smart, because if she's not smart, she's not going to win, right? Popularity contest. If politics is just a big popularity contest, at the end of the day, I could potentially run for president in a few years simply because I got a podcast. The way I run that podcast would be different if I made it, because, you know, I'd have limitations with streaming in the White House. But at the same time, you know. Okay, so here we go. He says Lisa DeMont is in charge of the state Congress House as the speaker. And she has been terrible. She kept the use of 1,000-page omnibus bills. Okay. And the establishment hides corrupt things in it. But what is she trying to accomplish when she gets elected? This is almost like saying, well, you know, Hillary Clinton should not have been voted in. She wasn't, but she shouldn't be voted in because she had one of the White House servers in her basement. They were still using it. But that woman would have standardized healthcare where everybody would have gotten free healthcare. So anybody right now who hates the Obamacare plan and they want to blame the Democrats because it is designed to make it mandatory for everybody to have healthcare, but it was not reformed to a way where nobody had to pay for it. Insurance companies have the legal right to raise the prices on it, but they have the legal responsibility to approve everybody. Now, if your health is shit, your insurance is going to be higher than what it would be if you was healthy. If you don't need health insurance, your health insurance is cheaper than what it would be if you need health insurance. And that's the problem. Hillary Clinton would have made free healthcare across the board, so you would just go to the doctor and you wouldn't have to worry about it. Now, would that have eventually required us to raise taxes? Probably. But every country around the world that's got better healthcare, we're like 135 when it comes down to good healthcare. The other 134 countries that have better healthcare than us are all like government provided healthcare. It's not privatized health systems. So when we talk about true policies, I would have voted for the free healthcare. And that was the same year that Obama was going for a second term. So he didn't even get my vote for year 2 because I wanted the free healthcare. See the difference? Steven said free healthcare, sign me up. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So if we would have had 70% of America that wanted free healthcare, Obama wouldn't have got a second term. He said they passed a budget in corrupt bills. Each bill passed should only be one subject. The bill she passed were always multiple subjects. That's politics, though. What bill is she trying to pass now when she gets into office? I understand that you're telling me that there's some corruption behind her position. And while I understand that you're telling me that there's some corruption behind her position, I'm also recognizing that, hold on. It looks like, hold on, somebody's trying to dive in real quick. Waiting for this person, if that person is still there. I just seen it. If that person is still there, he can jump in and chime in too. But I'm trying to figure out what the because when you tell me like in the past as a Senate, you tell me in the past as a Senate person that, you know, she passed corrupt bills. But my question is still, like, what is she trying to pass now? What is she trying to pass now? That's the whole thing. When, like I said again, I mentioned Hillary Clinton. I mentioned free healthcare. I mentioned Donald Trump, Project 2025. I mentioned Kane. I mentioned you mentioned Kane. You mentioned the flock cameras. Notice how political position, political policy. When it comes to her, she has no political policy. You just don't like the fact that she passes corrupt bills from the past. Understandable. But what is she trying to pass now? Understandable. I think somebody was trying to get in over here on TikTok. I just caught that when I looked over to the right. If you're still here and you want to chime in appropriately, let me know, because I was looking for a comment that said tag me in, and I would have tagged you in, but I missed it. And then when I looked back over, I was like, oh. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So when you say, well, and that's what happens in Congress when they have the government shutdown. They have one long set of stuff in a proposal, and they don't agree on all of them. And because they don't agree on all of them get denied, and that puts them in a position to not get anything done. And then they have to subjugate and pass the stuff that they all agree on, and then it partially reopens the government until they finally agree to the last thing that they were all in disagreement of. It says past action shows future actions. If she passed corrupt bills before, she will sign corrupt bills in the future. Okay, now, so here's the thing. For you, it doesn't matter what policy she's trying to stand on. She's not a unknowledgeable person and she's not unfit for the job because she's not smart enough or not capable enough. You don't like the past that she has, where she has allowed things that you would not have allowed had you been in her position. So your objection to her political position is her past deeds, not her present political position of whatever it is that she's planning on pushing when she gets in office. This is the whole, when we really start boiling it down, it's not whatever she's representing right now if she gets elected, it's what she's done in the past. Now, again, when we start talking about public policies that impact us, I don't know what bills that she allowed to happen and how that hurts my dollar. I don't know what bills she didn't allow happen that prevented me from making a dollar. But what I do know, again, I'm going to use these examples of free healthcare with Hillary Clinton, Project 2025 with Donald Trump, and flock cameras with Kane. What policy does this woman represent? Nobody's talking about that. What policy does the other three women represent? Nobody's talking about that. What policy does that guy you said Kendall represent? Nobody talking about that. We're talking about who's smart, who's dumb, who's cute, who's not, what state they're in, and they make bad decisions. Okay, but collateral damage, and then you also got to recognize when you pay attention to what you're saying yes to, it is the whole thing. When you check that person on the ballot, it is everything that they stand for, the good and the bad. If something that they do that is bad outweighs everything they plan on doing that's good, you got to say, you know what? I can't accept the good stuff because the bad stuff is too much. A lot of people said no to the $1.3 million from Kamala Harris because they said no to abortion. But everybody who said yes to Donald Trump acknowledged the fact that everything that he was going to do to the LGBTQ community was going to happen. So everybody who hates the laws that got passed against the LGBTQ community over the past 2 years have to accept that because they did that not only because they're voting Republican because they claim to be Republican, but because whatever policies that he said he was going to push, whatever policies that he stood for, benefited them. It's a double-edged sword. But her past actions doesn't answer my question because I'm not debating if she's a good person. I'm not debating if she's an ethical person. I'm not debating if she's done a good job in the past because I don't know the woman. My question was a fundamentally easy but a currently impossible question to answer. What policy does she represent now where if she goes into office now, that policy will directly impact either me or somebody inside of the area that she's running? For me to be able to say that if I was living in the city or state of that policy is either a good or bad policy. That's the question that I asked. And nobody answered that question. Because it's not the person, it's the policy they represent. Steven said they go on vacation when he said I'm undecided between Kendall Qualls and Mike Lindell for the GOP primary. I'm undecided about everybody because I only heard one policy out of the recent people, and that was Kane's flock camera thing. I don't hear any policies about Kendall Quall. I don't hear any policies about Mike Lindell. I don't hear any policies about Linda. I don't hear any policies about the other woman, Jasmine. I don't hear any policies. All I hear is there's personal bias against certain people that are running based on stuff that you know that they did in the past. These are people that I don't know and stuff that I didn't know that they did. So I can't weigh in either way on their past, but I can weigh in on how their policies will impact me today. Again, you're telling me passing a 1,000-page omnibus bill is a policy. And what is in that omnibus bill that negatively impacts you or me? What is it? There's 1,000 pages. There's 965 or some odd pages in Project 2025. And I read all of that, and I was able to tell you which parts of Project 2025 was not going to benefit certain people, while other parts would benefit everybody else if we change the way we do what we do. So, I mean, it's a 1,000-page long omnibus bill that, what about it do you not like? And we spent like 35 minutes on this. What's a waste of taxpayers' dollars? Because he says waste of taxpayers' dollars is the problem. Minnesota has a huge fraud problem. Okay, so we understand Minnesota has a huge fraud problem. What is waste of taxpayers' dollars that you are considering is fraud that is inside of this omnibus bill? Get down to the bottom of it. Because when we talked about Project 2025, I can name 3 or 4 things in that people didn't like happen to them that actually did happen, that he said that his cabinet wrote before he left office in 2017, and it went into effect in 2025, and he passed almost 200 something executive orders in less than a year, more executive orders than any president in the history of the United States, and he did that under the same guidelines of the Project 2025, whether he stood on it or not. And you got to recognize that I can call out from Project 2025 different things that he said that he was going to do out of that whole Project 2025 that's almost 1,000 pages long. But from this omnibus bill, you can't tell me 5 things that's in there that you think is fraudulent, corrupt, that you think is unfair to the average person. None of it. Look, Michael jumped up with pork belly. I don't know what pork belly got to do with it, Michael, but I mean, exactly, point out something about the bill that we think is stupid, that we think is unethical, that we think is wrong. You know, and this is the thing. I'm not fussing at you, Jesse. I'm not fussing at you. I'm just pointing out that for 45 minutes, I can tell you certain policies about certain people, which is why I would or would not vote for that person. But you're telling me she's corrupt. You're telling me that she's unethical. You're telling me that there's a big bill with a lot of stuff in it that you believe is a waste of taxpayers' money. But what is it that is in there that is a waste of taxpayers' money? We could just as easily go through the Epstein files and point out the people who were in that file and talk about who they are. But you know what I mean? Steven says Minnesota needs to fund more child care and home health care services. There we go. Now we're talking, Steven. That's what I'm talking. If we did more child care and home health care services and actually have it beneficial for men, where maternity leave is not just given to women, paternity leave is given to men, where men can take a few months off and help the wife with childcare, or in some situations they can alternate out where mom takes off from work the first like 3 to 6 months of childcare, paid leave from the job, and then dad can take off 3 to 6 months off from work and take care of the child, where mom can go back to work, paid time off, and then after the first year of them not being at work together, they can find a way to factor in a babysitter so that they can both go back to work, which stabilizes the income more. I think that is a fantastic policy, because that shit's working in Southeast Asia and in South Korea. Both parents gets a 12 months off paid leave from the job if they give birth to a child. That way, mom's not overwhelmed and dad's not underperforming, and the child's got both parents in the household, and they can figure it out. And if they need extended time, they can apply for it. That's a good policy to talk about. We don't talk about stuff like that. Jesse says the mouth pretends to be pro-life, but voted to fund abortion and Planned Parenthood. She claims to be pro-gun, but voted for gun control 3 times. Okay, so you're telling me what she did. You're not telling me what she's trying to do. I'm not debating what she did in the past. All women are going to, not all women, but the majority of women are going to be for abortion and for Planned Parenthood, where the women are taking birth control and Plan B and everything and all of this stuff, because my body, my choice is going to be what women are going to advocate for their ability to be irresponsible after the fact when they end up pregnant after she made a poor choice and slept with a guy. Okay. We understand that I'm not going to argue against that. The fact is that they're going to still say that they're pro-life, because you got to remember, we're talking about a woman. We're not talking about a man. It's not rational thinking. You're not pro-life if you're okay with abortion, but you will advocate for pro-life and then think, well, we should get away with the death penalty. Instead of saying, let's stop killing off our children. We can increase population where other countries have to promote population control by paying for 50 to 100% of childcare on every financial level to repopulate the society. All we had to do was ban killing the kids, and all of a sudden we're looking at almost a 30 to 40% increase in childbirth. The whole world is dealing with a population control problem, but what we did was stop killing them. What other countries did was pay for the ones that get born, right? Then you say, well, she's going to be claiming pro-gun but voted for gun control. Yeah, everybody should have guns, but a lot of women are going to say, well, you know, we should put more restrictions on the usage of and accessibility of. But those are going to be the same people that don't think that criminals are going to not follow rules. Some people believe that if you put more rules up there, that the criminals will conform. The truth of the matter is that being pro-gun, saying that everybody can have one, but then being more strict about how they're allowed to have them, they may think that if you force people to be more responsible, that we'll have more safety. Our problem is not the responsible gun owner. Our problem is the irresponsible gun owner or the person that has no respect for the law. Those two individuals are the ones we have problems with. So instead of promoting gun control laws, we should promote consequences after you've misappropriated your firearm or after you've allowed somebody else to misappropriate your firearm. So, for example, the parents of children who use the firearm and go and do something that they ain't got no business doing, and somebody gets hurt or killed behind that, the parent goes to jail for that. That's all you got to do. You don't got to force adults to have gun safes and all of this other stuff in their house. No, if your kid takes your firearm, goes down the street, takes somebody's life, you're going to go to prison with your child. Accountability. That's all you got to do. You don't change the laws to make it harder for honest people to get firearms. You change the laws and punish the people who don't. Right? But I understand. You're telling me what she did in the past. That's not a policy that she's pushing right now. Most politicians have an expected agenda of things they want to accomplish while they're in office. And for an hour, I've asked, what does she want to accomplish while she is governor, mayor, whatever it is that she's trying to do? What does she want to accomplish? That question has not been answered. You're telling me how she's a bad person with her bad decision-making skills? I'm not debating that. I want to know what she's running for. Does she want to get in office and continue to push the omnibus bill at a higher level? What is she running for? What is her campaign pitch? I didn't watch the GOP, but for over an hour, I can't get the answer to that question, which ultimately means that she as a person is irrelevant in politics, because whatever it is that she stands for, nobody really knows, because we can't even talk about what she stands for. We're talking about her and her decision-making skills, which is not politics. That is a beauty pageant. But this is how political platforms turn out. It's arguing who's smart, who's dumb, who's attractive, who's not, who has poor ethics, who has good ethics, who's moral, who's ethical, you know. But what about the policies? When did political debates become bashing people left and right and stop talking about the actual policies themselves? Michael says, there's no free healthcare. You'll pay one way or another, more taxes for the middle class. True. Okay, so he says, Lisa DeMont will do in office what she has done before, do as little as possible to change the system and pretend to be a hero. Okay, now that's a personality claim. That's a personality claim. That is not a policy that she's representing right now. All I want to know is, what policy does she represent? That's all I want to know. What policy is she claiming on her campaign trail that she's going to do if she succeeds in getting elected? Even if it's a lie, what is it that she claimed that she would do if she got elected? That's a policy that she's pushing, right? Again, examples. Hillary Clinton had free healthcare. Donald Trump had Project 2025. Kaine had no-flock cameras in Tennessee. These are policies that they say, look, while I'm in office, this is what's going down. You're telling me omnibus bill. What's in that omnibus bill? Because with Project 2025, it was a lot of negative things against the LGBTQ. It was big business with the tax exemptions for high earner investors. It was making it mandatory all of the tax deductions that were happening from 2017, making them permanent after 2025. The big beautiful bill. There was a lot of stuff that happened, that immigration laws, all of that. These are things that were in Project 2025. So when I say what policy, name one. I really said name 5. Name one policy that you don't like that's in that omnibus bill. That's all I asked for. I don't care one way or another. I asked, what is the bill? What is the policy that you don't like that she represents? Steven says, I think they should legalize switches and bump stocks so everyone had them, not just the criminals. Bro, I totally agree. And so does Jesse. Bro, first of all, I believe that all firearm accessories should be 100% legal and not ATF tax stamp required. I believe that every American citizen should have a fully automatic everything. Pistols, assault rifles, pump action shotguns, they should have fully automatic everything. Everything the United States military has, the American citizens should have. Everything the police have, the American citizens should have. Because the Second Amendment Constitution grants every American citizen the right to stand up and back up law enforcement when law enforcement gets overwhelmed by criminals, and every American citizen to back up American military when American military gets overwhelmed. So if you are not giving your people the equipment to protect the country when your best troops are in another country kicking off mess, nobody is defending the country the way the country needs to be defended, because you're banning all of the tools and resources that the American people would utilize to protect itself. I think that's a ridiculous way to do it, but that's how they can maintain control. 5,000 police officers can control 5 million people because 5,000 police officers have assault rifles and pistols, and most Americans are anti-gun, which makes no sense. Because when you are being held hostage at gunpoint, where 35 of y'all are being held hostage by 3 people, it is because those 3 people had guns. If 3 people walked into a bank with 35 people that had guns, that would not end well for those 3 people. And they would rethink their position, not because of what the police will do outside. It is what the people in the bank will do inside. Look, now that Stephen came up with a second policy. He says, DeMouth is claiming that she will shrink government and fight for gun rights and will eliminate fraud. And I don't believe any of it. Okay, now we got some policies. I don't know what she means by shrink government. I completely understand that she's misguided by gun rights. And I agree with you that if she's got the past history of allowing unethical things to happen with the budget, that she might be arguing that she's going to stop it if she gets elected, where she might have been the cause of it in the beginning, but she's going to be like Solomon and turn over a new leaf and not allow it to continue. But you don't believe it. Now we're talking. But it took us almost an hour and 20 minutes to get there. It took us almost an hour and 20 minutes to get there. That should have been the first thing that you said, right? And if those things are in the omnibus bill, hey, now I can understand why you have an objection for her. I completely understand. I'm neither heads nor tails. I'm gonna have to do some research on that, and then the next time you and I pop back up on the show, after I've done my research on it, I'll be able to tell you my perspective of the policies. But whether or not she's going to be the same person in a higher level of politics than what she was in the former levels of politics, since she did not get caught in a scandal for it, I'm going to assume that no change in behavior will occur. And if you believe that the behavior in her previous position is not suitable for a promoted position, she shouldn't be there. But that's based on hypotheticals. But my response is not going to be whether or not I like her, whether or not I don't like her, whether or not I believe that she's corrupt or not. My response would be specifically, if whatever she says that she's going to push, if it helps her, if it doesn't. If it does, then woot. If it doesn't, then oh. But either way, I'm kind of more focused on whether or not we're able to make, save, and invest money. But when we start talking about gun laws, when they start saying, hey, not only do you not have to pay the tax stamp anymore, you no longer have to register those firearms with the ATF anymore so that they're not tracking your firearms like they used to do. Hey, I'm down for that discussion, because when I'm able to go get me some assault rifles with suppressors on them and load them up in my vehicle like T.I. when he was driving across country, but I don't got to worry about getting picked up, that is a discussion I want to be involved in, right? But let's go ahead and touch base with the next one. I want to let me see if I can get this other one up here. We're gonna try to run this other comment because we got a few dozen comments up here for some of the people that were listening here.
Older than
we got
me.
A couple more left.
She's a good, caring, loyal woman. She's been there for me through big life joys and losses, and I was there for her during difficult times as well. But when it comes to certain practical matters, she drives me nuts. We live far away from each other and meet in person 3 to 6 times a year. It's always me making the plans. Yesterday, we were planning to meet at 1600 hours. I'm usually never late and always arrive on time when I arrange plans with other friends. We met at a shopping mall, so there was nothing really planned, but we had agreed on the time in advance. I was visiting her city, which is also where I was born, so I had plenty of other things I could have been doing during this visit. At 1600 hours, I was already there and texted her which coffee place I was waiting at. Her response was that she was about to leave her house, which is 40 minutes away by car from the mall where we were planning to meet. She didn't say sorry or anything, just told me she was about to leave. I understood that I'd be sitting there waiting for a friend who would be an hour late. She was 1 damn hour late. Whenever we meet, she's heavily late. Sometimes she gives reasons, sometimes nothing, like yesterday, as if it were just a normal thing to do. The thing is, I hate it when people are heavily late. I know life happens sometimes, but in this case, it's every single time we meet. Not 5, 10, or 15 minutes. It's anything between 30 to 60 minutes late, for God's sake. I've never really brought it up to her directly. A couple of times I mentioned something between the lines, and once I sent her a link to an article stating that being late is a form of disrespect, to which she replied that she also hates it when people are late, dough. My question is, how should I bring it up? Apart from being chronically late, she's a good person. When I was seriously ill, she visited me in the hospital more than my own family members. She supported me through my biggest challenges and joys. She's also quite sensitive to criticism, and I'm not the best feedback giver. Do you have friends like mine who are always chronically late? How do you deal with them? And how would you bring it up if you were me? I find it very annoying and disrespectful of her to keep me waiting like that almost every time we meet, as if my time isn't important.
Okay, so before we get back on that, let me go ahead and touch base on Jesse's response because I respect what Jesse's got to say. He says you should definitely look at the 3 Republican candidates for governor in Minnesota because it's a really interesting race. Mike Lindell, Kendall Qualls are MNGOP endorsed. Okay, so I don't know those guys, but he's encouraging everybody to go and take a look and look at least the 2 guys that are in there because the guys apparently have a lot more logic and reason than anyone else that's running. We'll see how that goes. Now, I will see what I can do because I do research. I'm doing a lot of research on a lot of things every day of the week. So I gotta take time to go and look into something that does not directly impact me. And I'm gonna be honest with you, watching a political debate is like watching the Lord of the Rings ice show. It doesn't affect me emotionally to see a bunch of people insult each other. My concern is just like what we did for the last hour is what is the policy the person may or may not push once they got into office, and how does that policy directly impact or indirectly impact me if I am in the area of their authority. Now, in a political debate, that isn't always what they're discussing. There's a lot of scandals, there's a lot of sham, there's a lot of talking about each other's career path in the past, like what they did wrong, blah 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 blah, which is kind of what happened here today. We spent almost an hour on this side topic, and for repetitively, I tried to keep us on the point of what is it that she represents. And we spent out of that hour really just like you didn't like her because of the past. The one question that I asked in the very beginning of it is like, what does she stand for? It took an hour for you to answer that question. And in the political debates, that's typically what goes on, is that they're going to ask a broad spectrum question, and somebody's going to take an insult towards somebody else, and you don't really get an understanding of exactly what they're trying to accomplish. They very rarely talk about their policies that they plan on producing and how those policies directly impacts the people or indirectly impacts the people. And there's a lot of discussion where they're bashing each other and really devaluing each other's character and each other's ego and each other's credibility for the ultimate goal that people will dislike them popularity contest because of what somebody else said, because we don't know these people directly. We didn't shake hands with them. We didn't sit and have coffee with them. We didn't work alongside them. So we don't really know these people. And ultimately, in order for you to make a decision about somebody who you've never met, who you have no loyalty to outside of being a Democrat or a Republican, I strongly believe that the most logical and rational way to address a situation as to which one to choose is which policy benefits you and which one does not. Now, under the observation, like Jesse Talk said, that the woman that's representing certain things like positive gun laws and negative financial corruption is not a woman of her word. If that is your observation, based on past experiences, you probably don't want to vote, even if the policies do benefit you. But when you're paying attention to who you want to select to represent your city, your town, your state, your jurisdiction, you are selecting the person that is for the same policies that you're for, because that's likely what's going to happen. There is a percentage of individuals that are not going to do what they say, but most politicians are liars. So if they get into office under the false pretense that if you put me in office, I'm going to make changes that you like, and then you put them in the office and then you do all kinds of corrupt stuff, you voted for them. The policy is what matters more than the person. Okay. Because if that person stands on their word and the policies do not favor you, that is worse than if they don't stand on their word and they don't perform any policies. Okay. So that's what you're supposed to be paying attention to. What are the policies? So if I have the time to go ahead and take a look at some of those debates, then I will. If I don't, I'll try to research them on the back end and be able to find out what is actually the discussion and how does it actually impact us and how does it impact our ability to make, save, and invest money, because that is what's really important to me and this podcast. Now, about the gentleman who made the comment about having a girlfriend that's always late, or the person that he talks to, his female friend, is always late. There's two ways that you can handle it. Situation one, you have a person who may not have a good grasp on time because apparently she is late the time it takes for her to get to you, because she's about 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away. And with traffic, that's an hour away. She's trying to get dressed, and no matter what she does, she leaves when the event starts and gets to you an hour after the event is supposed to happen. Now, what you can do, there's three things now that I think about it. You can tell her that the event starts an hour before you expect her to get there, so that when she gets there an hour late, she shows up on time. You can get to an event or schedule an event that has no time limit, where since you know that she's going to leave late and get there late, since there's no reservation required or anything like that, you leave when she leaves. That way y'all get there at the same time. These two ways, you don't have to criticize her lateness. You don't have to provide constructive criticism in ways that could hurt her feelings. You don't have to deliberate with her on how much she does not value your time, right? Where if she's driving an hour to you You could also, here's a fifth one because I haven't gotten to the other one. I'm skipping over that one and I'm gonna get back to it because the other one is going to be more harsher. This one is you can go to her. So since she's going to be an hour late coming to you, why don't you take responsibility and make that hour drive to her? Set up a situation where you're going to meet her down the street from her place where she's got a 5 or 10 minute drive. You got an hour drive, and you're on your way. She's getting ready. By the time you show up, you've got time to square away the bill, talk to the servers, whatever, go to the bathroom, get yourself cleaned up. She's almost there. Within 15 minutes of you showing up, she's there. She's late still, but she had an extra hour because it took you an hour to get there. I think that's another option for you. In all three of those options, right? Or 3 or 4 of those options. I don't remember. I think I did 3, not 4, because schedule it earlier. Tell her that it's earlier than what it really is, or set it to be later, like leave when she gets there, or go to her instead of having her come to you. That's sort of 3, not 4. 3 things. Okay. Those are 3 ways to do it. Now, way number 4, the way I would do it. You want to stand on non-negotiable expectations for behavior. Okay. We've got an hour event, hour and a half event. Okay. If I scheduled a reservation, I'm going to this reservation. You said you were going out of town, or you were coming to town. This is your hometown. You had friends and family. You could have, during the hour that you knew she was going to be late, instead of waiting on her, you could have been hanging out with friends and family. And when she told you that she was on her way, you could have left from your friends and family and then went to the event. That way, you could have killed multiple birds with one stone. Or, hey, look, I set us a reservation. It's going to start at 7. She leaves at 6:45, knowing that she's not going to get there till 7:55. That's okay. I'm at the reservation. I've checked in. I've ordered what I wanted. They brought it to the table. I ate. I drank. She showed up. I'm ready for the check. That's it. It's time to go. She's going to feel like I didn't respect her enough for me to wait for her. And I'm going to make sure that she understands that my time is just as valuable as hers. And she didn't respect me enough to show up on time. That's when we would have that discussion, because I'm cashing out. I'm leaving. I've been here for an hour and 30 minutes. You're just showing up and I'm just leaving. Now that you're here, I've already ate dinner. Maybe we can go for a walk in the park. We could probably go see a movie, whatever. But the dinner part that you were late for, you missed that. So if I'm going to spend time with you regardless, but I scheduled a restaurant and you're late for the reservation, I'm not waiting on you. I'm going to go to the restaurant. If I bought tickets to see Bad Boys 7 or Fast and the Furious 25, and it's supposed to start at 5 o'clock and it is 4:55 and you're not here, I'm getting my seat. I'm not going to miss an activity because you're late. Prioritizing my time. As a man, what men should be doing, because this is podcast, is a male-driven podcast from a male's perspective. You are not scheduling an event around the woman. You are scheduling an event that you will attend and you will invite the woman. If she shows up, then she will participate. If she doesn't show up, you had made plans to entertain yourself in society with or without her. When the event revolves around her, it doesn't start until she gets there. She does not have to show you respect for your time because it doesn't start until she gets there. So she is not missing out on anything. You are wasting your time until she gets there. If the event starts, regardless of whether she's there or not, she now has to prioritize showing up on time because she will miss out on parts of the event because she wasn't there on time. She's not an hour late for work every day. If she's a college student, she's not an hour late for class every day, but she's an hour late for you because she doesn't prioritize you. Now, if you are scheduling your appointment with her too close to her other appointment, knowing she's got a 1-hour drive and she might have to change, and some women are going to want to take a shower and do their hair before they go. She's not going to get off from work and go straight to you. If you're booking it too close to her other obligations, then that's kind of on you. You need to make sure that if she's going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours getting ready, and it's an hour drive, you want to schedule the appointment 3 hours out, 4 hours out. If she's still late, I'm going to the event, doing my thing, and I'm leaving. He said, leave the restaurant and go to the hotel. For what? This is supposed to be his home girl. because you got to understand, a lot of men are in relationships. They're in friendships with women that they would like to be their girlfriends, but the women don't want them as boyfriends for whatever reason, and they'll maintain the emotional validation relationship, but they will not fulfill those roles and responsibilities of being a true to life girlfriend. So the dude is wasting his time automatically because he's just friends with her and she's showing him that her life is more important than him and his time, which is why she's always, not every now and again, always an hour late. So you're not going to the restaurant yourself and then going and then take her to the restaurant. That's the mentality of men that are trying to get laid. And a lot of times women will capitalize on that, which is why she has more respect for her boss than she has for her boyfriend or her husband, because her boss doesn't sleep with her. Her boyfriend or her husband does. So she can control the narrative, because if she doesn't like the way he behaves, she can cut off sex. She has leverage over her boyfriend. She doesn't have leverage over her boss. If he doesn't like the way she behaves, he cuts off her paycheck. That's the difference between husbands and bosses. Husbands allow women to run the narrative, because if the husband doesn't allow her to run a narrative, he feels deprived because she's going to cut him off. But if the husband stands on the same business mentality as the boss, if she doesn't perform, the boss cuts off her paycheck. If the husband doesn't perform, he cuts off the marriage. She's going to go somewhere else. At the end of the day, if she's got something to lose, she's got performance to adhere to. If she has nothing to lose, she has no performance to adhere to. She doesn't have to worry about being late for you, because she'll wait for you, or you'll wait for her. So since you'll wait for her, she can be an hour late. But if you're not going to wait for her, she can't be an hour late. If I told you it's going to start at 9, and at worst, I'm going to start it at 9:15. If you show up at 10:45, hey, you missed it. A lot of times I tell y'all, look, podcast start at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time until daylight saving time happens. Sometimes it might start 30 minutes late. Podcast might start at like midnight, right? If you showed up to the podcast at 2 a.m. and I'm not here, it happened. I started it and I finished it. I'm not going to wait for you to get here. I'm going to start it when I start it, and you're going to be here or you're not going to be here. And that's the same thing that you're supposed to be treating these women, is that if I'm going to plan an event, I'm not planning the event around you. I'm planning an event, and then I'm going to invite you as a guest to participate in the event. If you don't show up, let's say we have an itinerary, bowling, no, laser tag. I want to do something fun, laser tag. Then we're going to eat. Then we're going to go watch a movie. And if I go laser tag and you miss out on a laser tag, and halfway through the meal, that's it. And the movie starts at a certain time. So if you show up halfway through the meal, there's only 20 minutes left, ma'am. So you're going to have to order a couple appetizers, because I'm not missing the movie. And now we're going to go to the movie. So you missed out on the first activity. You missed out on half of the second activity. And now you're being rushed to the third activity because your ass was late. In that dynamic, you must respect my time, because the itinerary is not tentative where it will be delayed because you're tardy. It will happen when I said it was going to happen, in the order that I said it was going to happen, and you're going to miss out on things. That's going to force her to do what she needs to do. He says, except if sex is weaponized, that is the same as prostitution in my eyes, and that would be an ended relationship real quick. That's every relationship, though. Women are saying that that's not the case, but that is actually the true to life case in most Western culture relationships, is that in exchange for him to be able to finance her standard of living, he gets to sleep with a girl. That's what she's offering. And a lot of women believe that the more attractive she is, that the more money she's entitled to, the more gifts and stuff that she's entitled to. And when we start arguing, what does a woman bring to the table? They argue that they are the table, but it's a broke table, because there's nothing on the table. There's nothing that benefits me on the table, but I am supposed to invest in the table. And that is not the way things are supposed to be. The way things are supposed to be is that the way you benefit from me, I'm supposed to benefit from you. If I'm not benefiting from you, then why are you here? So at the end of the day, this is not a benefit, because we both benefit from that. She gets what she's getting out of that. I get what I get out of that. That is an equivalent exchange. So since that is going to be a benefit for both parties, that is not supposed to be calculated in our exchange of values. She values the money from the man. The man benefits from her effort. Her effort is not monetary on her behalf. So her effort cannot be always equivocally calculated into monetary expenditures, but you can put a price on how much she's willing to do. The same way your boss puts a price on how much you're willing to do. Money for services. And with that logic being said, if sleeping with the girl is not going to be monetized by the man, she can put out and still not get nothing. But if I benefit from her, then she might get something. But that also still means that you got to prioritize your time and you have to put yourself in a position to say, look, if you're not here when the event starts without you. She said, oh, well, I'm on my way. That's okay. I already grabbed the seat. I already put my order in. You want me to put your order in? By the time she gets there, the food will be there. When she shows up, if she shows up that late, oh, that's all right. I put your food in the to-go bag. I'm ready to go. She showed up to the restaurant to get a to-go order because it took her too long to get here. You missed out on the event. Now, option 5, and I did say that there was supposed to be 5 options. You could sit her down and tell her, look, if you're not going to be here on time, don't come. That's going to pressure her to decide that she's either going to show up on time or she's going to cancel an hour early so that you're not waiting on her. But option 5, while harsher than option 4, option 5 makes the event revolve around her. If she's not coming, then you got to choose, am I going to go out in disappointment because I wanted to only go because of her? Or am I going to just stay home and not go and save my money? If you know that she ain't going to be there on time and the appointment is always going to be canceled, y'all just never going to see one another, which ultimately means that she's going to phase out of your life and you're going to save a bunch of money, which is why I save option 5 for last. But option 4 is enjoy your life, live your life to the fullest, invite her to enjoy your life with you. And if she shows up, she shows up. If she doesn't, she doesn't. If she stands you up, she stands you up. But she technically would not be capable of standing you up if you went to go for yourself and you just wanted her to enjoy it with you. If there was a House of Blues that I wanted to go to, get me some jambalaya and some gumbo and stuff, and I invite you to come to the House of Blues with me, I'm going to the House of Blues for this particular event, this particular activity, whether or not you come with me. That's like, Stephen, for example, you got this AC/DC concert coming up. Last time they're going to be on tour in your lifetime. You're going to that AC/DC concert. If you bought a second ticket and you invited this chick, and then the day of the event, she tell you something's coming up, you're not going to not go to that concert. You're going to go to that concert. You might scalp the extra ticket at the concert. You might invite one of your homeboys that ain't got nothing to do and bring them, but you're going. Whether you go by yourself or you go with somebody else, the girl don't matter to that event. That event is something that you're going to, and that is how you're supposed to schedule every day. Is that this is what I plan on doing. Now, you can either come and you can. But if you're not coming, well, I'm not going to be hurt because I'm going to have a good time. And during the event, she's not going to be able to text me, oh, how are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Because after the event, if she hit me up, I hope that I didn't spoil your evening. I should have all kinds of photos of all the blasts that I had without you because I was going for me and I just wanted you to live life the way I live life. I wasn't going for you. When I'm going for you, you control the narrative. When I'm going for me, I control the narrative. And as men, we're supposed to control the narrative 100% of the time because women want a man to be a leader. And if I'm a leader, I'm not going to this date following her lead unless she's inviting me. I invited her. I'm going on this excursion because that is what I want to do as the leader of this excursion. If you missed the trail, you missed it. When has a tour guide ever waited for you to show up late? They start the tour without you. When has a cruise ever waited for you to get on the boat? They leave the port without you. Every other thing in life, her ass ain't going to be late for that. But see, when it comes to her man, oh yeah, she'll make your ass wait. No, I'm straight with that. I'll wait till I see you again because I'm going to go have me some good ass times and enjoy life and blah, 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 blah. But like I said, if you notice she's going to be an hour late, as soon as she tells you she on her way, that's when you start making your way out there. All right, I think we got like 1 or 2 more. Let's see what they are.
I just had to say it out loud. Can't take it anymore. I have to be done with it all. Now spending money on girls on Facebook, but can't give me money, I'm the one who takes care of him. Fuck this, I'm done. I feel so bad for him. That he literally has to pay women to make himself feel special. Like he is important. Like he is somebody. I always thought he was somebody. He apparently just doesn't think that I am. So I can't go on like this anymore. I have to end everything. Being married 20 years means nothing to him. Then why should I give a fuck either? The funny thing is if he would have put a quarter of what he did in other on us, everything would have been so different. I would have had his back, I would have been there for him. I would have been the
Look.
one person who really did think he was special. I would have always had faith and believed in him. But now I
Right.
can't. He doesn't respect me. He doesn't
Okay.
respect us. So for that
Okay.
I am sorry, but I am truly done this
Okay.
time. That just pushed me over the edge. You
You
are
can
not my
tell-
true love. You are not my soulmate. Now you are nothing to me, just like I have been for you. I'm just sorry I didn't do this long time ago.
You see the difference between the woman that hold on a second, I
Hello.
think that-
So I've been
oh no, I got one more. So you see the difference between the one woman that was willing to wait in the marriage and work on the marriage versus this woman. Like Michael said, the first woman might have been a woman from the Philippines because she was ignored by her husband for 2 years and she stayed in the marriage and kept trying. This woman's like, oh no, he's sending money to other women, blah blah blah. Look, it's the exact same scenario as the previous scenario. Y'all been married for 20 years. The stuff you used to do as his girlfriend, you're not doing as his wife. He is now doing the same thing that the first woman was doing at the beginning of the show, was seeking external validation outside of the relationship because he's not getting it in the relationship. The difference between women and men is that men have to pay for that relationship, that validation outside of the relationship. Women get it for free. So you're mad that your husband is talking to other women and paying for their attention. The attention that he's paying them for, he should be paying you for. So you need to step up as his wife and you need to start giving him the attention that he's getting from the women online so that he can redirect his cash flow into your hair, nails, and everything did. That's like short answer right there because you can't be mad at him because y'all been married for 20 years and he's looking elsewhere while staying married to you because for whatever reason, he's not getting something out of a relationship and you're not trying to talk to him about it. You just want him to spend his money on you. Stop paying attention to his money. Pay attention to his feelings. Pay attention to his character, his personality. Pay attention to his objectives and then try to fulfill those objectives. That's one of the easiest ways to go about fixing it. Now let's do this last one.
talking with a guy for a week. He is super sweet and nice and friendly. Just so for this week we have been talking, I feel like I'm being love bombed, and it is starting to be too much. He is also not respecting the fact that I do not want to be touched early on and I don't want him at my house, which he keeps on insisting. Here in a few months he will be leaving and living in another state, and right now he is talking about a long-distance relationship, and after dating for 6 months he wants me to move there with him. I also have a young child, too, and I just don't think I can uproot either of our lives to be with this man. I have typed up a text to send to him, would like to know if it is good. Hey, so I think you are a super sweet guy and one of the best guys that I have met. But I don't think I can do this. I've been thinking about this. I can't do a long-distance relationship or even maintain it, and I don't think I can leave my family and move me and my son away from what we know anytime soon. You're still a young guy, you have a lot of opportunities to do well for your career, and I also have some goals that I want to achieve. I don't want to waste time or more feelings to come out of this. I hope all goes well with you and I wish you the best.
Oh Lord, she fired him. That's a letter of resignation. All right, look. So first and foremost, y'all did not have the same future goals with one another, and that's something that y'all have to work on, or not. It seems to me that you were not interested in him, and that's the reason why you wanted to keep physical distance between y'all. It also seemed to me like because you knew that your interactions with him were temporary because he was moving away, that you didn't want to progress a relationship and you kept making excuses. Men have the ability to, and women do have the ability to know within the first 24 to 48 hours if this is something I want to continue, right? If you just want to have fun, if you're just trying to sleep around and just, the novelty of it, you're not thinking about long term. Men are dating to marry more often than not. There are some guys that are out there trying to get laid just for the sake of getting laid, but a lot of times men are dating to marry, especially middle-aged dudes, right? So when he starts talking about 6 months of dating and you come live with him, and he's planning the rest of his life with you, right? Yeah, y'all only been together for a week. That's not love bombing. He knows that you are what he wants. He just doesn't know that he's not what you want. That's your problem, right? So you just got to tell him the truth. Our future goals are not the same, and we're not heading in the same direction. And what I'm going to do is stay where I'm at. I'm not relocating with you. Period. You don't need to feed him, gaslight him, because that's what you do. You're gaslighting him by compliment, but they're backhanded compliments because you're not interested. You don't want to have a life with him. Whatever it is that y'all got going on, romping around in the sheets, he's taking you out for nights on a town at his expense. That's what you want from him. And when that stops, you're good. But to build a life with him, have him be like the stepdad to your kid, take like more responsibility on his plate and build a family with you, that's not what you want. And because that's not what you want, you're unsure of how to tell him the truth. Women say they want honesty. Where's the honesty? The honesty is like, no, I like for you paying stuff for me, giving me free stuff, taking me places for free, so I don't have to pay for anything. And the things we do in the bedroom, I like that stuff, but that's all I want from you, and I'm not interested in nothing else. If she was honest about it, but that brings us back to what Stephen was saying, the Riley theory, is that a lot of the times men are leasing a relationship with a woman for the same physical action that they can get from buying the service from an adult freelance woman. And why are men putting so much money into relationships where that type of interaction is not guaranteed, but his money is guaranteed, when instead he can get an adult freelance worker that would ultimately do exactly what he wants her to do? You've got escorts and other such women in the adult industry that would do more girlfriend and wife material for pay than what the exact same type of women would do in a dedicated relationship with their boyfriend. But the interaction is still the same. You get money, I get intimacy. It's the exact same interaction. You get money, I get physical connection. You get stuff, I get your stuff. Like, it's the exact same stuff. So like Steven said, it's almost exactly the same. But what we have is that a lot of the times we have a lot of relationships where the women are weaponizing the intimacy. Oh, well, if you don't do what I say the way I say it, I'm gonna cut you off. You got some women that are like, oh, well, if there's no money, you get no honey. You got women that are like, oh, well, if you don't listen to me, which means submit to my authority, then you don't get the cookie. At the end of the day, if you're going to cut off the emotional intimacy in a relationship, then you don't belong in that relationship. It doesn't matter if he does what you want or not. He could completely piss you off for the day, but y'all are still supposed to be able to maintain that emotional intimacy. And because women a lot of the times shut down more often than men and cut off that emotional intimacy throughout the relationship, a 20-year marriage, a man stops begging for the intimacy and accepts the fact that it won't come, and then start looking for the intimacy somewhere else. And you wonder why your man is no longer treating you the way he treated you before y'all got married. Each time you reject your boyfriend, you are building a wall between you and him. Each time you reject your fiance, you are building a wall between you and him. And that wall is added to the wall when you are rejecting him as the boyfriend. And each time after you marry that man that you reject him, you're building a wall between you and him. And eventually you have a great wall of China where you have continuously said no to intimacy over the span of 5, 10, 20, 30. He stops asking. He stops asking. Because he don't have to do all of that for the women on social media. The same money that he's handing you to tell him no, and he has to deal with that, is the same quantity of money that he can hand to another woman would do it for less. Some women would do it for free. Some women would do it for a blunt or two. Some women will do it for nothing. They'll do it just for the sake of going out. Which I just remembered. I forgot to answer one of the other questions that came up because Jesse Talks came in and we started talking about politics. There was a woman that she was hiding in a closet. Her cousins came in. They were making out in the room. This was earlier tonight, like an hour and a half ago. And she took a photo and then she stormed out of the room. Now, she doesn't know how to interact with them because, like, they're trying to prevent her from potentially posting that photo. Look, even in that scenario, she was supposed to mind her own damn business. When they came in there and they started making out with one another, instead of you like just walking out of the room, you stayed, you hid, you let them do their thing, and now you're like, oh, nobody will believe me. But that's none of your business. You're supposed to keep it to yourself the same way pastors keep what they do to the choir boys secret. You're not supposed to talk about that stuff. Whatever happened in this room, stay between the people in this room, right? And then y'all go out there and y'all go make it do what it do, right? So when your friend was coming up and asking you, oh, hey, well, please don't tell, you should not have taken a photo on Snapchat. But because you did, it's likely going to get posted online. If I was you, I would tell those friends, look, or those cousins, look, hey, what y'all do ain't got nothing to do between me and you. Either I'm for y'all's relationship or I'm against it. That's it. Beyond that, I don't really care. And then just walk out of the room, leave it alone. We don't got to talk about it no more. I done already said my piece on it. But after I said my piece on it, what y'all do is what y'all do. But I can clearly tell you that like Thanksgiving is going to be awkward this year because I know that the two of y'all is trying to base turkeys while everybody else was out there interacting in the other room playing Uno. So, you know, all of these things turns us back to the same observations, is that you are supposed to be able to maintain a standard of behavior and then hold your partner accountable to that. And when you don't see that, you're supposed to be able to articulate that with your partner and then give them the opportunity to rectify it. Without that, you're not going to see improvement. You're going to be disappointed until you give up. And then you're going to walk away. But even your employer will pull you aside and say that you haven't been doing a good job for a period of time before they fire you. They don't just fire you for doing a bad job. They call you into the office and tell you 3 different times, verbal warning, written warning, and then termination. So you have plenty of time to get your stuff together. Right? So likewise, when I tell you guys, treat your relationships the way you treat a job, like people are, oh, well, are you trying to hire an employee or are you trying to have a relationship? Both. It's the same thing. Because the logic and mentality is the same thing. If you're not going to perform just because we have a bond or a loyalty or duty to one another, then that means what you're saying is that just because we have history, you can disrespect me. And that's not true. You cannot disrespect me just because we have history. Because we have history, you're supposed to respect me more because you know what struggle I've been through to get to where I am right now, and you know where I'm trying to go. You should be able to do more to support my position than somebody who doesn't know me. So if you're going to hinder my ability to succeed, then you're not the right one for me. And that's what you guys got to recognize. Now, we've covered a lot of stuff for about 3.5 hours. And we're going to start by saying, look, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. I've given y'all a lot of stuff for tonight. So I'm gonna wrap things up and tell y'all shorthand. Look, if y'all don't pay attention to what y'all doing, y'all are not going to find the right person. And that is going to be on you. So shorthand, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on yield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.